And I'm going to start recording because live on What's Up, I'm going to order a battery backup because I'm tired of this shit. So let's add to cart with the 4-year protection plan.
Give thanks to our Patreons. Goodbye, Muffin. Now I will test positive for opiates.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes, I will go ahead and read off the list and say that this episode is brought to you by our patrons, such as Ahagar Comics, Qua, Jeremy Vasquez, Kylie Denton, and Nestor Flores. And if you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon so that I can buy a battery backup because, like, 5 minutes before we started getting set up for this episode,
That's Captain Price.
Yeah, I had a power outage, so I'm like, fuck it.
Yeah. One of those things that you kind of need. We're actually talking about a little bit. The Pacific Northwest doesn't have, like, a fuck ton of reasons for power outages. I mean, we do, but I literally, like, hear you, like, weekly said, oh, yeah, I lost power. I'm like, damn. It's a semi-regular thing with you.
This has been on my purchase list since, like, the start of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, it was just now as I was waiting for the episode to start that I was like, I was gonna wait until, like, Monday or whatever for when people are here, because my parents are off the weekend in case I need, like, any help installing or whatever. But, like, no, fuck it. I want it to arrive as soon as possible now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
just for let everyone know, if Lucky makes weird noise or comments or stuff, I am playing Modern Warfare still. I am playing on the fucking veteran difficulty, though, so I am dying a fuck ton. I'm sorry, that was the monster in me. I am gross. I said Modern Warfare again, giving me the aesthetic, giving me the enjoyment of. I'm glad I'm not in the fucking war because I probably die. I think I mentioned this last week, but man, I go down quick. 2 bullets, I'm done. That's pretty realistic, I think.
Yeah, no. The benefit of body armor is that you're not dead, but yeah, you get shot, you gotta lie down for a while. That's a video game thing that, like, you feel spry.
Yelling about "God damn it, Price" or "grenade" or something. Modern Warfare again. One day we'll be together and you all can see me play while we talk. I am actually really hyped.
We could even play together with split screen. You could do that for like Spec Ops missions and also multiplayer, but that's probably a little too much thought. Okay. Anyway, where was I? Payment methods.
Shot by helicopters.
That one. Deliver that thing.
Again, I hate this fucking helicopter. If it just wasn't for the fucking helicopter. The helicopter is worse when you only have like two shots to live.
Yeah, helicopters are bad.
It's games like this that has cultivated my paranoia in Mages of War.
Which, by the way, I added as an actual quirk. You can decide if you want to switch out.
Oh,
it's
really?
50 points. Yeah.
Ooh, I gotta check it out then.
I realized I didn't have that in. I'm like, that's a thing. I don't know. I don't know if you want to lose your incredible min-maxing of your authority bubble.
Well, as I said, if I remember correctly, let's see, I think, I have to think, because I said my 4 quirks are, right now, is, Natural Leader, the Natural Leader, Camaraderie, Honorable, and Unkempt.
Yeah, so you have 2 net positive ones. They cost you XP to do.
Yeah. So, I don't know, I have to look at it and decide. But that is definitely something I've noticed, like, how I play, Captain Wolfgang Schmidt, is I play very paranoid, and I would even say a little bit cowardly, but not so cowardly that, gonna run away. Because, I don't like pain. I don't like getting shot, and like we said this before, you got shot. You can go back to listen to the APs. Which, don't worry, someday I'll have a free schedule and I'll post more of those. I think I'm gonna I just need some time to render the last couple. I think I'll, get in there and, wheel it back around at some point, but finish developing. But yeah, but if in the first couple ones, you got shot a lot. Because you picked the armor permutation filigree, which was like, I get bonuses on leadership rolls, but I'm obvious, and that was like, people are gonna shoot you. And then, like, after, like, I think I was getting shot, like, on average, like, once per session.
And some of that was, I think, for the first couple times you didn't realize you take your toughness mod off the damage all the time.
Oh, yeah. Also, but my toughness was only 2, so it wasn't been that much.
Correct.
But it was still like, man, I am super squishy. I'm important and squishy. This isn't working. I can't do straight on battles. Like, I don't care what stall military doctrine says. I can't do straight up battles.
I'm gonna keep getting shot, and it's gonna suck eventually, even with the corpsmen. Yeah. Like, now, luckily, when I diverged this from a lot of the ethos in like both the Halo homebrew it was based on, and even the 40k RPGs, like healing's way easier than this, and it's a lot of stuff, and possibly I don't know quite how realistic it is for you to like, you know, what's your wound total right now?
My wound total right now, I want to say 18.
Yes, so that's let's see, it's half your toughness still 2 toughness.
No, it's 3. I bumped that up.
Okay, so that means that it would take you from 0, which means you're at risk of dying and literally fall unconscious. That would take you let's see, so it's what, like, you know, 18 divided by 2, so like 9 days, so like 10 days to fully spring back, which is a little fast. Yeah. That's just unnatural healing without your full toughness mod, which would reduce that by another bit, because it's like 3 a day. That said, in that case, if you're getting your full toughness mod, you are literally under like full-time medical care and getting rest and stuff, so...
Yeah, we haven't had things like fucking broken bones or like stuff happen, because, you know, that's...
No, those take, like, if you break a bone, that takes a long fucking time to fix.
Yeah.
I think it's...
But we have, like, that's one of those things we haven't got into, just because we've been fiddling.
The setting a bone is pretty harsh. Somebody has to set your bone before it actually starts to heal, and then you take the penalties for a broken bone for, like, days, weeks, whatever. Let me get in there and double check.
Oh shit. And there's the helicopter.
Yeah, they do that.
Whoever said the pen is mightier than the sword has never met automatic weapons. Yep. I always laughed about these Modern Warfare cards, because half of them are like, war is bad, and the other half is like, man, we're really good at killing shit.
Yeah, welcome to Modern Warfare. But yeah, so Modern Warfare is a good point to start, because we've both been playing a little bit. I played a little bit of multiplayer, but we're hoping that because it's been 10 years since that one came out, that this year Modern Warfare 2 Remastered comes out.
There has been rumors of it, because it wasn't the ESRB, it was another rating system. I think it was like a European one, where the rating for Modern Warfare 2 popped up. It was quickly taken down, but you know that has added fuel to the fire, and people are thinking that they're gonna do like they did with the first Modern Warfare remaster. Is they bundled it originally bundled it with Advanced Warfare. Now people are thinking that there's gonna be a Modern Warfare 4, and they're gonna bundle Modern Warfare 2 remastered with that.
I would buy that for a hot $1.
I don't know, I'm engaged in the...
No, the writing's really good. Like, I own both 2 and 3 on PS3, but here's the thing, my PS3 is overheating because it hasn't been cleaned out in God knows how long. And hasn't been under a lot of heavy use, so it's probably not, like, well ventilated or anything at the moment. So it starts to overheat. It's not shot, it's not like yellow light, and the motherboard's melted down, but it's poorly ventilated. So I go to pop it open, and I'll fucking vacuum it out. That's what I gotta do with everything in my life. This is when I learned that the PS3 Slim has 3 security screws, which need a special screwdriver. So I bought a special screwdriver for $3, and it'll come sometime.
If the enemy is in range, so are you. Truer words have never been spoken. I got shot.
Yeah, so when that comes, I'm going to pop those 3 security screws out, and I'm going to pop the top and vacuum it out and clean the vents. And hopefully that'll be enough that it restores its natural heat balance. Because it's worked before for many years, and like I said, it didn't melt down or anything. It'll still boot up, it just overheats, so I'm hoping that clearing the ventilation will let it run. But I got to play the first couple levels, and yeah, the writing's still on point, and it's still very good, though I feel like 2 is much more generation kill, despite the fact that you're Army Rangers now.
Huh.
But like I said, I quoted what I think is a very famous scene of dialogue. You're taking this bridge, and you're climbing into the gunner seat of a Humvee on the minigun. I don't think there are a lot of Humvees that actually have minigun mounts, but it's a lot cooler, and you only have to build one asset for all the miniguns. As opposed to like a 50 or a Mark.
Yeah, usually you'd have a 50 cal on the back of that, but nah.
Yeah, you'd have a Mod Deuce, or you'd have whatever the 40mm grenade launcher is called. I can't remember the name of. Those are real fun, but it's like the Mark 40, Mark 23. I don't know. But yeah, I assume the minigun thing is because they already programmed those in engine. So, though I don't know, Modern Warfare 1 had the grenade launcher on the side of the helicopter. Anyway, the point is, you're sitting there in the gunner seat, and you're waiting because there's a building you're taking sniper or RPG fire for something, and like they're calling it in. One of the guys is like, they're talking about which building is it? Which building is it? It's building on the left at 1:00. And they're like, which one is it? Is it the right or more? Because there's two like skyscrapers there as you're in the middle of what is called the Red Zone, Afghanistan.
Oh yeah.
So you're and this is 5 years after the original Modern Warfare, despite the fact that the game came out 2 years later. So God knows what year it is, but we're still in the shit in Afghanistan, is what they're telling us, which may have actually been accurate. I don't know. I wasn't thinking about it in those terms. But there's two skyscrapers there, and they're like, like tall apartment builders or something. And they're like, which one is it? Is it one of the, the leftermost? It's the one closer to us. Okay. And then they say, and then one guy goes, hey, isn't this danger close for the task force? And then another guy says, talking about General Shepard, who you've heard a little bit about, that you're going to be working with him specially on something, and that he's the local big shot and stuff, and he's done some introductory monologues in the game. And they say, since when did General Shepard care about danger close? And then, two F-15s or whatever soar over, blow the fuck out of that building, and everybody immediately stops giving a fuck about danger close, and they're just like, yeah, hooah, get some. And I'm like, yeah, it sounds about right. And I'm like, wow, I forgot how that actually pretty deeply ingrained into my in me when I played that, because I watching it again, I'm like, wow, no, I definitely remember that scene a lot. And then you ride into the town on Humvees and get ambushed.
Yeah, so, as I said, I think I mentioned before, I missed the original Modern Warfare trilogy, as I said, because I have a toxic relationship with most multiplayer shooters. And honestly, having been playing the multiplayer for one, no, it's still COD multiplayer, so it's like, you have to have a certain tolerance for just, well, a guy just happened to be behind me, so I'm fucked. Yep. Even with Juggernaut to get more HP, it's one of those things where, like, if I'm shooting at a guy and he has the Juggernaut perk, I'm like, oh, well, he takes 1,000,000 bullets. But with me, it's like, fuck, I still took 2. Why? Why always? By the way, I automatically mute everyone ever, and am upset when games do not have faster methods of muting people. Seriously, dear multiplayer shooters, unless you should just not allow microphones unless you're doing party play. Because nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck about what you're doing in your living room, what you're talking about with your mama, what your dog is barking at, or any of the other background sounds that happen. Nobody's actually talking about anything that matters for the game. Stop it. Just stop it. Well, yeah, that's been my experience. Because I said once upon a time, I did try. Once in a while, I do try multiplayer. I play Titanfall 2 multiplayer occasionally, because Titanfall 2 is motherfucking fun.
It's really good.
But still, that's the issue is someone's kid will be screaming, someone's dog will be barking, someone will be playing some weird ass fucking music in the background.
And that's why I mute everybody. Even oh my God, playing Rainbow Six, which is probably a lot more tactical and people seem a lot more on point, but almost always I mute them. And in fact, I think I had a hard ass time finding out how to mute people. And lately, like Ubisoft is trying to be like, you shouldn't be able to mute people in our tactical shooting. No, microphones are a bad idea. They're bad civilization. Stop it.
Yeah,
that's why Discord and Free Talk and all those other services exist.
Yeah, no, I use when I play Titanfall 2, I get group with my buddy and we go we'd use the PS4 party function. We use our mics there. That truck blew up. I did not know that truck could blow up.
Lots of stuff can blow up. You can accidentally RPG your own guys, if I'm assuming you're playing the map you're playing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm trying to get to the fucking barn so I can get the RPG.
Oh, yeah.
I have to run over open ground with this helicopter beat. I'm all like, 2 bullets are gonna get you? And I'm like, no! And it's like, yes!
Oh, yeah. No.
So I'm trying to take... oh, god damn it. I'm not, like... I've reached the point of enlightenment where I don't even care that I die anymore.
No, you have to do that in Call of Duty. You just have to accept that death happens. And just, like, start it again.
Yep.
Run it again.
It's like, I don't know if this, like... Yeah, like, honestly, I think I kind of got into that mindset, because when I was playing on Hardened, I was getting fucking mad. But when I switched over to Veteran, because, that's what I mentioned, I'm playing on Veteran now, like, the hardest fucking difficulty for a single player, is I decided that I was gonna, like, before I got this thing, I was gonna beat Gaz's record in the training. And I did, but it took me, like, a fucking hour. An hour of running, like, I would say 20 20-second missions, like between like 20 and like 35 seconds. Like, that's why I was wavering. And it take me like a minute to like get reset up and stuff. So, but still, I ran it like 30 to 40 times to get it. And just at the point of it, it's like, all right, I didn't make it. Let me reload, grab some ammo, and I'm gonna run it again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. And I'm like.
Yeah.
So now I'm here.
I think that's how you have to be if you want to beat that record.
Yeah, but it kind of scares me that there's a trophy for beating Infinity's Ward's record of like 15 seconds. I'm like, how?
They probably tested it a lot.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think Modern Warfare might be one of those games I try to plat, because I was looking at the trophies and all of them are single player focused. I was like, oh. Well,
yeah, I think this was about the time period that people were like, multiplayer trophies are bullshit.
Yeah.
There are a couple, I think, in Titanfall 2, but they're like create a clan kind of stuff.
Yeah, like real simple stuff. But yeah, so it's like I'm like, yeah, I enjoy playing this enough that I would be willing to put trophies, because unbeknownst to Omega, I am secretly in a competition with him to get more trophies than him, because for some odd fucking the what?
I said shit.
Because for some odd reason, despite me having like 16 platinum trophies, he's still like 2 levels above me. I'm like, what the fuck?
Trophies, woo! That might account some of my PS3 career.
Yeah,
it probably does, but still, okay, shit. I'm not good at platinum, but that's actually bad for you if I start to get serious about trophies. That if I'm already a couple levels up, because I don't usually.
I know, usually I don't either, but it's like I don't know. Is this one of those? Like, you ever know it's one of those pet peeves? I'm like, I play like. Because, like,
well, yeah, we can directly compare stats, because PlayStation Network did this super cool thing where they did your year in review.
Oh no, we can actually just compare our trophies just at the
well, there's that, but I mean like our overall playtime stats.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Did I? I don't know.
I don't know if you posted that. I posted mine. I looked at yours because you linked it. I think.
Yeah, but yeah. So
no, wait.
I'm just
I think you tweeted
like,
it
for like
too. So yeah, they're back there somewhere.
Somewhere. Shit.
The audience will find
and that was a helicopter. But it's just one of those things of like, because I like to I look at the games we compare, and like for like I would say about 80% of the games that we share, I have more trophies than you. So I'm just like, what the fuck?
I play lots of games.
Yeah, and no, you have like a fuck ton of PS3 games. I'm like, wow.
The PS3 was a good era for me. I managed to get in there pretty quick, and there was always a decent amount of playing. Also, I own a couple of HD collections for PS3, so those are almost cheating.
Jack in there, fucking Sly Cooper was in there.
Yeah, you get a shitload of trophies for those games, because there's like 3 of them.
Yeah.
Re-release more remasters and collections, please. Actually, that kind of brings me to a point that I wanted to bring back up also from last week's show, because we got some comments about we got like at least one comment about we talked about game stores and stuff. And I'm really shout out to them for actually taking the time to sit down and think about their comment, because they said they did that, which was good.
I gotta pull this. I gotta pull this up now. I didn't see this comment. Pause.
It's a really big comment. You'll be there a while.
Wow. Okay.
Listen, we don't mind if you post like long comments, especially like I said, if you think them out, but try not to do that just for the sake of your own sanity, because we're not always going to read essays, but also lots of people don't. So it can be a rough habit to get into, but I also am pro proper communication. Anyway, I think that with the way What's Up is, because it's not scripted, like at all. we often spend a lot of time developing our points or our argument, and we don't spend a lot of time developing our conclusion.
Yeah.
So I kind of wanted to reiterate what I feel like our actual conclusion was on the discussion last week, which is basically like don't bug other people about how they live their lives, right? Don't what's the best way to say this? Like, yeah, like I guess don't. I think we said this as like don't throw shade at people for doing whatever's best for them. If you happen to live somewhere where you have an FLGS that is actually literally both friendly and local, as in you like them and they're actually close to you, by all means support them. You know, if you like their business, that's just how voting with your wallet works. You know, thinking about video game stuff like, am I upset I've bought Okami like 3 times? No. I really fucking like Okami. I don't mind continuing to pay money. Same thing with, I'm probably gonna end up buying Shadow of the Colossus for like a 3rd time. I still haven't beat it, but I'll get there someday. So, like, no, totally do that vote with your wallet thing. That said, especially in this day and age, I think my point was, I certainly never needed a friendly local gaming store for support to get into the hobby of RPGs, because I didn't have one. So, like, I don't know if I'll get into that whole story of my life, as it were, today, but just, like, it is not an essential part of the infrastructure to have that to grow your RPGing system. And depending on what you're doing, you don't need it for some other hobby games. But like I said, if you're big of an organized play scene, yeah, you need venues. Duh. Don't be a dumb fuck. But a lot of those people play tournaments for like store credit and stuff anyway, so presumably they're going around and so on. Anyway, it's just that like my point was that you shouldn't try to enforce some kind of secret rule of the hobby on other people. People have to do what's best for them. If you live like an hour away from a store and you don't like them a whole lot, go ahead and order that book online. You know, directly from the manufacturer, whatever. You know, it's a whole whatever thing. If you live 5 minutes from a store that you like, I would agree that's kind of dumb for you to go out of your way to like order off the online manufacturer because maybe you can get it on sale there, maybe you have store credit. There's all kinds of stuff in there. It's just the point was that I was a little annoyed because I felt like the always support your friendly local gaming store is like, okay, cultist, you know, you're pushing forward a lot of groupthink, and I feel like you're saying I'm not living my life the right way or something when you make a broad, absolute statement like that. Can we not make broad, absolute statements? Okay, thanks. Some of that is just my contrary personality, though. Like, I don't know, Lucky, you're probably not like this because you've talked about how you have issues with authority on account of your militarization. Mm-hmm. But like, if somebody points to me and says you have to do the thing, my immediate reaction is to like strike a kung fu pose and be like, "Why? Who said so? Who says I have to do it that way?"
Well, like as I said, like I've gotten to the point where I usually have to think like where I won't do the thing until I consider whether or not that thing is actually in my best interest.
Right.
It's like so a knee-jerk reaction is always like no, but that leads up into but should I?
Yeah, like if you want to present an argument for why I should do something, I'll listen. But like I don't like that kind of like orthodoxy approach to things. Our hobbies, especially the tabletop one, is not really built on the idea of orthodoxy. So like you said it pretty well there, where you think about what's in your best interest. So that's how people have to operate sometimes.
Yeah, tabletop. Usually rule 0 is you can make whatever fucking rule you want.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot. It says a lot about it. I actually had a point that I was going to bring up, but I totally forgot it because I didn't write it down because Lucky is dumb as usual. Because Lucky always thinks of his best points after recording is off.
Yeah, that hindsight's 20/20.
Mm-hmm. But I can't remember it for the life of me.
The way I usually remember arguments is usually they stick with me for a couple days, then I practice my statement in my head until I have it down pat.
Nah.
And if I don't do that, then whoop! I have a busy mind. I do a lot of things.
Yeah. But, like, as I said, the things with, like, PDFs and whatnot, it's, like, PDFs and physical things, like, I think I mentioned this last time, but everyone has their preferred model, and no exact way is the quote-unquote right one. Yeah. Some people have taught... This has been... I don't know if you've heard it before, but there... As a
kind of like an ironic thing. There has been the concept of a quote-unquote one true way of gaming going around for a while in the subculture. Is like, that doesn't exist kind of thing. Like, that's a thing you say to mock people who try and establish that there is a quote-unquote one true way. There's not really. The hobby is what it is, and it's what you make it.
God, do you like... Man, I like when we play Star Wars, we don't actually use we almost never use the books, because we know the rules. Instead, we just use your giant-ass Google Doc documents of all
yes,
the
because
stuff
I am an organizational maniac, and I just, if it was printed in a book, or if somebody showed me a picture of it printed in a book, I'm like, I'm going to record that, and I put that in a thing. Because there's a lot of fucking Star Wars source books, dude.
Yeah. So it's like, especially for something
and
like that.
Those aren't available in, like, proper marketable PDFs because of the Star Wars license. So,
like, and here's the thing. Because you can pull stuff from all those books, imagine trying to bring physical copies of all those fucking books.
Yeah, let's see. There's, 6 careers in every game line. So that's at least 7 books, plus usually a setting book or 2. So that's, like, 8 books per game line. So at the minimum, if you're playing, like, a pure Age of Rebellion, a pure Force and Destiny, that's like 8 books you'd have to bring to reference. If you're playing with all of them, that's like 3 times that.
So like putting all that stuff on PDF and putting that like on a tablet or a laptop, that's hella fucking convenient. Yeah. But at the same time, maybe you like fucking books. Maybe you don't mind like carrying around.
No, I mean, I know for sure that one of our players, Marth, has literally gone out and bought hard copies of Star Wars books he's been interested in without waiting for me to get access to data to update them.
Yeah, like I bought Legend of the Five Rings. Like I'm interested in playing it, but like I'm not like a super big fan of it. I'm into it because you're into it. Because that's how our relationship works. But like, so at the sense, but you gave me a PDF, and that's what I usually reference when I'm looking for something, because that's just more accessible. But once in a while,
the ability of PDFs to like, this is a quote unquote critique I had of actual play games for a long time before I had to just accept that I had a different life experience. Because lots of actual play podcasts are like, they didn't fucking remember the rules, and they're like, nobody thinks to themselves, I'm gonna look them up. Even playing like Eclipse Phase sometimes, they wouldn't look up the rules, and I'm like, oh my god, they're fucking, Creative Commons PDFs, you can download them and share them for free. Why the fuck does nobody have a thing to Control F? And they're just like, I guess, I don't know, we just don't keep tablets at the table, and I'm like, okay, I just have to accept that that's your style of things and move on. Otherwise, I'm going to go crazy. But holy shit, the ability to just Control F sometimes, running stuff like Eclipse Phase or other games that have a heavy PDF support, or even just talking about them. Like if I go onto like Fantasy Flight's forums and talk about Legend of the Five Rings, being able to just Control F in the fucking PDF. Oh my god, it's so easy. Copy paste. Ugh.
Alright, sorry, I have to psych myself up right now. I've cleared out the path between the barn, the helicopter's flying around, but I know there's guys in the barn. So I have to literally dash across, run into the barn, and somehow take out everyone before they kill me.
What kind of gun do you have?
I have the G36. I also have a shotgun, but I'm a little... Oh wait, no, let me reload my shotgun.
Put all your bullets in. Is it semi-auto or pump?
It's pump. If it was the semi-auto, this would be fine.
Fuck yeah, it would. That's great.
Okay,
there's literally only 2 shotguns in the game, other than some weird challenge stuff that they want you to do microtransactions for. That's one thing that I don't think was in the original multiplayer. They added a bunch of bonus weapons, which are like, buy fucking loot boxes, because Overwatch has those.
I didn't make it.
Rip.
Alright, but that's what I was gonna say.
No, Sunday's St. Patrick's Day. Somebody tweeted something St. Patrick's Day as well. Like, is it that day? No, Sunday.
Oh, it's tomorrow?
Yes.
I'm probably gonna get drunk.
Remember to wear green or people will hit you.
There will be violence in this house. But, like, that's like one of those things like we do like in Mages of War constantly, because you check your rules all the time, we check our rules all the time, and often what we do is we'll read the rule out loud, so whoever is listening will also hear the rule and how it is supposed to work. Because I think that's, like, kind of important to the actual play experience, is actually understanding how the mechanics work and not just...
Yeah, there are so many games I learned how to play that way.
Yeah.
Like, for real. What? That's how I honestly got into this hobby, was I had some old-ass 2nd edition D&D books. I've got a DMG and a player's guide, which were bought from, like, a library surplus sale. My mother just saw them and was like, hey, you're a nerdy 12-year-old kid. You'll love these. And I do. But, like... And then it was just looking up subjects, and I was really into webcomics for a while, so I found stuff like DM of the Rings and so on, and that kind of connected me to other people, and that's how I found my first RPG podcasts to kind of talk about the hobby, and then that's how I got into actual play, which, like, I realized was a genre and taught me so much about how people actually play at the table. And no, I did not have to go to a game store and post looking for a group. I just was a drug dealer, and I shoehorned all my internet friends into it. We were already doing, a lot of my friends were from, like, play-by-post freeform RP, because that was a thing that existed.
I used to do that shit.
And may still exist. But
somewhere.
That's where I picked those guys up, and we started talking about it. And then I was like, hey, you want to roll dice? You want to play some Call of Cthulhu? At which I bet Ron and Marth still remember the very first game of The Haunting I ran, where Marth got thrown out of a building by a bed frame, and Ron was almost stabbed by a telekinetic knife, but I completely bollocksed up the roll, as I usually do. So it missed. So that was fun. That kind of set my tone as a GM. Sometimes I manage to pull off some amazing set pieces, and sometimes it's just like, well, the dice just aren't with me. And sometimes occasionally I'll just look at the dice and I'll just be like, fuck you, and throw them away. Well, which is a thing I can do because I play online, and nobody has to see me do that. But
I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I fudge my rules too, just because sometimes you're like, I say, because, no one should really condone cheating, but sometimes you're like, I really should not miss this, or I really should actually be able to do this.
Well, most of the time you don't even have to, because I've given you the tools to, I think the amount of stuff that luck does has slowly expanded over time in the game. There's so many things it does now, just because that's how it works. And I actually reminded you guys, I was like, hey, for 500 XP, you can buy more luck.
Honestly, if I remember that and I stop wanting to buy everything fucking else, I'd probably start buying luck.
Also, there's a new thing that gives you back a point of luck. If you buy runestones and you cast the runestones and study them for at least an hour, you get a point of luck back.
I should totally get those.
I've added a lot of things. I don't know why. Maybe just because we're playing and we've been playing for a while, but I'm really into the playing and the running. So I've just been adding random subsystems as a maniac. And just lots of different little items have come up. I've also written so much guidance because I'm like, holy shit, people are going to listen to these games, and they're not going to have a me right there to tell them how to do stuff sometimes. So I've added a section that explains what I mean when I want you to make a test. I've added, explicit rules for how the fuck opposed tests work.
One day I would actually like to officially publish Mages of War.
Someday we will. We'll have to that means I have to figure out layout and stuff and lots of other stuff. But we'd eventually, I think, compile it into some books that'll be available to buy. That's the stuff lots of people who make their own games do eventually. But we're still in the, as I like to sing song, the eternal beta. I don't think it's been a single session where I haven't had a thought of I need a rule for this, or I need a clarification for this in a long time.
That's what we do. Every single fucking session. And we keep testing new mechanics, or does this work? Does this spell actually need to be this powerful? The question is usually no. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, we because a lot of these are untested, I have nerfed a few spells, and there's other times where I've been actually that's okay. We were concerned about shatter rounds for a while because 8d10 sounds like a lot. But then he actually rolled 8d10s, and I was like, oh, that's still mostly in the middle of the chart. That's not actually a huge problem.
Yeah.
Maybe if he was using scarier guns and inflicting critical damage on his own, it would be more, but for just a default. Also, it's funny, despite the fact that Marth's character started, this is Sate in our Discord, but we've known him as his online handle is Marth for a long time. Yeah, and I know his real name too, but I don't like to out people for their real names online. No. We just refer to each other by handles. But his character started as his background was isolate, so he's from a rural isolated community. What does that give him? Let me see. Let me double check.
This window still is great. It is literally just the perfect height. I still got shot!
Rip. What's the windowsill made out of? Is it wood? They can shoot you through that.
Yeah.
Okay, so for an isolate, he got a +5 to toughness. He got awareness and survival trained. And then when he rolls survival to find food, water, or shelter in the wild, roll twice and take the better result. And then his starting career was grunt. Literally the most basic ass soldier you could be. Which gave him...
thing, though, this is the thing, I think is definitely in Mages of War favor, is even the most basic ass career still gives you something interesting and unique, and you can.
Oh yeah, no, everything gives you something. Not that he has ever used covering fire, because I don't think you guys have Overwatched ever.
Yeah. Well,
it's my fault. I send you on too many strike missions, not enough guard missions.
Yeah.
But still.
As I said, I mentioned this. I have discovered we are actually German special forces before special forces were a really big thing.
Before they, there were people who did special forces jobs, but they didn't start calling them special forces until the 2. So yeah, you guys are totally special forces. Blow up this, stab these people, assault this.
All right, made it into the barn house. No, make it! I died. God, they are quick on the gun.
Not that you guys ever run out of ammo, but Mart's had an ammo pack this entire time.
Well, again, as I said, this is me playing into my paranoia. It's I always choose the path where we're gonna find the least amount of resistance, get shot the least, and probably have to do the least amount of killing in order to complete our objectives.
Mm-hmm. But God help you, if you actually had to Overwatch, he'd be really good at that, because he gets to make, he has covering fire, so he can, when on Overwatch, he can take reaction shots, not just when people move in range, but also when they attack. So if they don't move but try to shoot you, he can try to shoot them first.
Okay.
But yeah, so he started really basic, but he has really leaned heavily into being the magic guy. I think with the last batch of XP, he bought Breath of the Earth.
Oh yeah.
Which is a really high-quality Earth spell.
Well, actually, I'd say he's like me. I'm really focused on the melee, but I'm also still really focused on being the commander. He's really focused on being the magic guy, but he's also still really on being the pathfinder and nature and stuff.
Since he took veteran, which once this campaign is done and I adjust all those EXP totals, veteran's definitely going to go up a little bit in cost.
Oh yeah, it definitely should.
Because it's right now it's you have to spend 500 EXP to be able to pick veteran, and you get a second career. So it's really good, and I want it to not be super hard to get. But yeah, I think I'm going to double all the XP costs after this. And
I think I mentioned that earlier. It's real quick. It's real fast.
It's a little fast. I don't want it to be hard, but at the rate at which you're gaining EXP, it's a little too easy. And I'm
I think I got I have 4, I think. I have Veteran, Ironclad, Tactician, and Saber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, you're not going to take Sicarius.
Yeah, no.
But, so I want them to be, because, like we said, I think on the last episode when we did our big actual play talk, or maybe the one after that, I don't know. But
I couldn't remember.
Advanced careers are really the way you grow as a soldier, so I'm no, those should be fairly easy to hit, and they should come fairly regularly, because that's how you change how you are as a soldier, and technically they're an optional rule. So, no, it's good that they're in there. I just want them to make them a little bit higher level, because I wasn't thinking about quite how much they stack up. But that's how a lot of this stuff works out. Yeah. Breath of the Earth's a 400. Yes, that's great. So that's a line that's 10 times will mod in meters. Does 2d10 plus will mod damage with pierce equal to DOS with Cauterize and Sunder. That's fun. Full damage to vehicles and structures.
This is my window. There are many like it, but this one is mine.
Well, that also reminds me, I put in because I'd mentioned construction a lot as a thing, but I didn't tell you what you could do with that, and I'm nah, fuck it. So now there's a list of how long it takes to assemble certain fortifications and what they do.
So we can build trenches and set barbed wire and shit and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Actually, is there barbed wire on our fucking gear list anywhere?
I added a note to, if you buy the standalone spool of wire, you can convert it to barbed wire, but there's not a individual coil of quote-unquote barbed wire yet. You can, though, build wire obstacles just as a construction test.
Okay. Because that was, barbed wire was a major thing of fucking trench warfare. Mm-hmm. It was very scary.
Yeah. And there's for a long time been rules to difficult terrain, which is, hey, if you try to cover a zone that's harmful, like a spike trap or barbed wire or concertina wire or whatever, you take damage. And
oh god, there was a guy right there. Fuck.
It sucks.
How dare you blend into the scenery?
And honestly, that's one of the things that as a metal mage you'd be really good at, because you can be now get this fence out of my way.
Oh no, you mentioned you did us I don't want to say a solid, but you decided to share with us what your random rules were for...
Oh yeah, I had to, because I've come to the conclusion that it's not my fault. The dice just hate you.
Yeah.
The dice just hate.
Let's see, I can't remember all...
Let me pull it up.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you the objectives yet. I just told you the battlefield conditions.
Yeah, no, like... And, well, as I said, just them by themselves has given me nightmares.
So, the way this works is I roll a random type of terrain, and then I usually roll a couple of qualifiers. And sometimes I roll a supernatural one in there, but sometimes I don't. And I usually roll 2 to 3 to make something that makes sense to me. And I kind of develop from there. So, the terrain for the next mission is open, which means that it is a wide open area without a lot of cover. It has anti-air, runway, and minefield. So, there's a big flippin' runway, which means there's even more open space. There's anti-air defenses like flak cannons. And there's also a minefield on the ground, so that's super fun. There may also, once again, be anti-air mines, so because they can do that. They can do balloon mines. So, that's super fun.
Yeah, so, I have to figure out a way to get through that, and I'm like, how? Because, as I said, unfortunately, I'm a player. I'm in that meta. Like, you give me information, I'm immediately gonna start assimilating it. Immediately. It's like, I can't not. But... it's just like, oh my god. It's like, Omega said this, and it's like, the enemy has gotten wise to our tactics. Which I think is fair.
Oh yeah, no. Like, at some point, there's gonna be hunter-killers whose only job is to find that one asshole with a sword and shoot him. We're not quite to that level yet, no. But eventually there will be wood mages with, like, obsidian arrowheads trying to find you in the night kind of stuff.
Oh god, that's so terrifying. God damn it, I waited too long. But, I'm tired. So, yeah, so, it's, like, you're sort of speaking of metal mages, I'm like, oh god, like, I'm, like, looking at, like, my spells, and like, can I just, like, throw all these mines? I'm like, no.
No, that didn't work the last time you had a minefield.
No. Like, get a mine detector, it's all, like, honestly, like, right now, my best, it's like, I have people to work with, but at the same time, it's like, God, I gotta think about this stuff. And that's one of those things that I really like about Mages War, because you're in battlefield conditions. Usually you can make, like, a game plan before you go in. Because I feel like a lot of RPGs is tabletop RPGs, especially, you know, like when you get into, your standard D&D, where you just dungeon run. Like, you do all your preparations, but you really never have a plan going in. It's, alright, I got all this stuff. Now we're just gonna walk in, and we're gonna explore, and we're gonna see what happens. Like, no, it's like, no, I have
5-foot steps, give me a 10-foot pole, you know, all that stuff, and you start praying, basically. You're like, okay, we're gonna plan for every eventuality, and hope that nothing weird happens. And every 8 hours, we have to take an 8-hour rest every couple of fights or whatever.
Yep. God, I hate the 8-hour workday. I mean, the 15-minute workday.
Yeah. Luckily, you don't have that. Like, there is post-mission fatigue, but that's after you roll a mission. You have to roll to see how tired you are, which is just, it's double the hours the mission took. So it's like, if a mission is super short, I give you bonuses for the toughness. Like, if you did a 1-hour mission, it'd be like, okay, roll me like a plus 30 toughness. You're probably not tired. You could theoretically fly back right out.
Over here, but I never fucking see him.
But yes, I have, there's been some where there's been a short turnaround time, but most operations you have time to go back to base, plan, do it again. Which is kind of the intent, like, because it's, it's a military game, they're military operations. You don't constantly do warfare. Like, if you do, you can only do that for a short period. That's like, assault tactics take time to do and time to regroup everybody, so you should not be constantly at full speed all the time on an operation. That would be like a special campaign or theater condition, which is like, yeah, no, you are just under constant assault. And luckily, you guys aren't in the trenches.
Oh, thank goodness for that. I was actually looking up World War I stuff, like how like state of prisoner camps and all that stuff. Shit's rough. Shit's rough all around. Us over in the Africas, we got it good.
Yeah, there were some parts in the more northern section of sub-Saharan Africa where they did actually, like in Cameroon, they actually built some trenches for some fucking reason. But in most of the South Africa stuff, it's just, yes, you fight in the desert and in the jungle, and just deal with it.
Yeah, but but speaking of World War One conditions and actual history, I learned that actually like the African campaign was actually pretty fucking short, and it did not end well for the Germans. And who are we? We are the not Germans. So we are literally on this kind of, oh god, what's the, I don't know, there's a term for it where you like, at the end, that there's going to be like a specific sort of end and you're working towards it.
Yeah, no, there is a kind of a term for that story structure.
Yeah, but as I said, like, things are going to end horribly in one way, and so we're like doing this thing where we're basically trying to, like, I think Mega, you put it, it's like we're trying to see how long this miracle lasts before we have to like either get captured, fuck off across the ocean, or we go join this guerrilla, German guerrilla fighting unit.
Yeah, because you guys are in the Southwest. In East Africa, there is a guerrilla force which is very famous because they keep it going until like all the way till surrender in 1918.
Yeah,
like they hide out in the fucking Congo jungle and just keep harassing the British and the Belgians. They don't necessarily have as much an impact as they wanted with in terms of making them drawing manpower and supplies, but they still drew some manpower and supplies, and they managed to not get caught until they heard word of the surrender.
Yeah.
So theoretically, I think that would still be a campaign end if you guys fucked off to the guerrilla warfare, because that's just be like, okay, you guys are going to be stuck here for the rest of the war.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, there's at some point, this will be the Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid ending, where it's like, okay, you're out of bullets. The entire Commonwealth Army has showed up. What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Keeping in mind that in the official statement on etiquette of war, you try to take mages alive because mages are incredibly valuable, and that means that your mages get taken alive, and so you lose less lives. But this only goes so far. If you're an asshole who won't surrender, they will eventually shoot you.
Mm-hmm. As for my 2 cents, is flee.
Yeah, you guys can get on the ocean.
Either get a Zeppelin or a ship.
Yeah, you really want a Zeppelin.
I really want that Zeppelin.
Why I wrote heavy vehicle customization. You can now mod your heavy vehicles. Also because I realized that, one thing is I wrote a pseudo system about bases, which is, it's not really like a base building system, though you can try and requisition.
Oh, shit.
You can try and use procurement or logistics to, like, requisition new base elements, but it's mostly just, here's what the marshal thinks is on your base, or here's what an enemy base is like.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that if we do ever get to that third playtest game where you guys play sub-mages and you're probably crewed out of, like, a carrier or a battleship or something, a submarine, God forbid, you're not really going to have base options. So part of the customization is like, I've really caught on to the idea that I really do want players to be able to customize. I know that's technically against the normal military modus operandi. Normally you want soldiers to be completely uniform. You want them to do everything exactly the same way all the time for the sake of, like, cohesion, unity, morale, all that kind of stuff. But that's not how fiction about military works. Everybody gets to be super cool units. They have special customizations. Like, look at all the uniform variants and characters in, like, Valkyria Chronicles and stuff, which is, like I said, a lot of where the spiritual inspiration comes from this. Even if you think about, like, despite the fact that they're supposed to be from, like, a Germany-esque, strict culture, all the dudes in Tanya have different haircuts that are not regulation. Like, they have individual anime-esque character designs, even if they're wearing all the same uniforms most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, like,
I'm pretty sure whatever nation that fucking Tanya was does not actually allow ponytails.
Probably not. But hey, are you gonna tell those poor sons of bitches that Tanya put through her hell course that you can't wear your hair in a ponytail? No.
Yeah.
She'll fucking stab you. She did that. She almost did that to a guy at the academy.
For insubordination, yeah.
She was gonna cut his eyes out. Tanya's fun. I'm gonna watch the show again for my inspiration, but also just for the music, because goddamn, that was so great. You
really need to watch the read the light novels.
I probably do. Maybe I'll pick them up sometime. I like books. I picked up some ebooks of some 40K stuff because I've also been on a weird 40K trip lately. Like I I've minded some for inspiration, but I've also just been on like, man, Deathwatch and Only War are super cool. God, because there's some things even with Mages of War you just can't do. Like, you guys just can't be Space Marines in powered armor with jetpacks and heavy bolters and shit. That doesn't work. The tech base isn't there for some of this stuff. Like, you can't get gunships or whatever. So
I don't know. I mean, actually, like, honestly, we're kind of there. I mean, you just put in power armor. We have fucking mobility units.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of the same, but it's just it's not quite the same effect. And I have
you don't have the kind of
inspiration.
You don't have as much as as dark and grim as Mages of War. Yeah, it is not the grim and dark of 40K.
No. And also like the enemy is not chaos. Like, they don't operate in the same scale. Like, you're gonna run into one daemon, one giant, or whatever, like a campaign. Hopefully, you hope to God. If you run into multiples, you're in a really shitty situation.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, they haven't invented the nuclear weapon or Exterminatus yet. But yeah, so like, there's some technological stuff that I just can't ape. You know. So I've been reading some old stuff. Right now I'm in the middle of one of the Dark Heresy novels, and I've got Caiaphas Cain I want to read, and some other stuff. You know, just for casual light reading in my free time. Read about that grim dark future. That said, the thing I've definitely cottoned on to is no, Mages of War, part of it is definitely about the idea that you have the ability to get into individuation and customization. You guys can customize your kit, you can build your soldiers out, you can do lots of weird esoteric stuff, and technically the regular army can't say shit to you because you blow things up with your mind. So, like, it's a whole thing. And I've tried to emphasize that with, like, lots of different, I've added a little bit of mods here and there, I've added, like, high-level customizations and stuff as, like, rewards, arcane weapons, I made it so Lucky has to spend even more money on getting the fanciest armor possible. Because I added a couple of modifications, like the Moonsilver Inlay and Etheric Wards, which make you die less in certain situations. For sure, Lucky is going to cough up the shitload of money it requires to get Moonsilver Inlay, because that's good for spirits and demons and stuff. And well, he's got a demon to fight. Yeah. So yeah, like the idea that you can, like, kind of customize yourself out is, I think, really, really key. So that's kind of why I built the base system, which is in the Marshal's Handbook, and I want you guys to look at it sometime so we can... One, so you can decide if you have any cool, fun, extra facilities at your base, and two, to just, like, did I miss anything obvious? And that's kind of, like I said, where heavy vehicle customization, like, if you're based on, like, a Zeppelin, or a submarine, or a battleship, or a seaplane carrier, which is converted into a mage carrier, because that's a thing. Because mages are a lot more flexible than aircraft right now. But you'd want to be able to, like, flesh out where you live a little bit and say that you've got certain special features and fun stuff. So that I think is lately a lot of my design ethos is, like, what can I do that, I've had a lot of emphasis on, I want to make the magic parts feel more real and living in the world. Like, it's not just World War I, but different, but it's like, no, this is a World War I with magic. Like, magical shit happens. It happens in the woodlands, it happens in the, the wilderness outside. Sometimes it can happen in the battlefield, and, like, just put some stuff in there that makes it feel more real. Like, magic is a living, breathing part of this setting. And the other thing is, I want people to be able to feel like they can get that truly, despite being a part of a military chain of command and all that, they can feel like they can get that proper individuation in their characters. That, and also I wanted to feel timeline appropriate. Hey, did you know that adrenaline was isolated in 1905?
Really?
Yes. So now there's an adrenaline shot, which is a different thing you can do to not die.
Ooh.
So there's like there's like 4 or 5, but there's like 3 or 4 real quote-unquote drugs you can take besides, like, if you do an optional for, like, ooh, and when you smoke, a thing happens. Which is, I think you get +10 to fine control and memory, but -10 to toughness rolls while you're smoking. Because your fucking lungs. But, so before there were combat stims, which are like, kind of like an amphetamine or something, which is, And I've actually, one of the things I've been doing in part of my clarifying is I've rewritten a couple of descriptions for stuff. Like the climbing harness is like an extra sentence long. And now it mentions that if you're climbing and you're secured to a surface, you don't fall if you fail a climbing check. Because it's, a clip harness. But combat stims means it so you don't suffer from fatigue and you won't fall asleep for 1d10 hours. You get a +10 on fear tests and opposed will tests, and a +20 to avoid falling unconscious. But until you rest after it wears off, you take a -10 to everything because you're coming down from that high. Painkillers means you don't take penalties for extreme pain or other critical injury penalties. You get to ignore them. And you're better at fear also. But you're much easier to fall asleep. You take a -10 on all consciousness-related checks because you're sedated a little bit. There's also anesthesia now, which is like your ether, which is used to knock people out. And it's like, if you successfully anesthetize, they're unconscious for several hours, and they literally can't wake up unless you do magic or something to them. Like, even if you stab a guy, he's not waking up. But, it's not the, does this rag smell like chloroform to you kind of thing. If you fuck up the medication test, they start asphyxiating because you're doing it wrong. So, you can accidentally kill someone with anesthesia if you're not careful.
That's why anesthesiologist is a profession.
And now the adrenaline shot has a really long description, but basically, it takes a -10 medication test because you gotta stab them in the heart and stuff. But, they gain a number of temporary wounds equal to your degrees of success. So you gain free hit points, which last 1d10 divided by 2 hours. And if you're unconscious from either shock, so you took a lot of wounds at once and passed out, or you hit 0 wounds and had to pass out, you immediately regain consciousness. And temporary wounds are removed first, and they don't carry over. So you basically get a free couple extra wounds to not die.
Have you ever seen Get 'Em to the Greek?
No.
Well, it's basically, it's a movie, it's a sequel to another one, I can't remember. Never, but it stars, Jonah Hill and, Russell Brand. And there's one particular scene where the guy's, like, having a bit of a panic attack because of a drug, and Russell Brand character decides to fucking stab him at the heart with an adrenaline shot. And
that is a thing you can actually do for cardiac arrest.
Yep. Actually, let me see if I can just, like, find the scene. Because it was, like, the greatest fucking thing. Because he is literally on the ground. I'm gonna see if I can just find the GIF here.
Yeah. The other thing that the adrenaline shot, though, does is you actually take a minus to fear tests because you're hopped up on adrenaline, which is your fight or flight response hormone, so you're jumpy as fuck. But you'll be less dead. You literally have more, it literally puts more life in you because you get more temporary wounds. And that's about it. Like, the anti-venom is technically a drug, but it's not like, and the smelling salts, but they don't really matter because they're like, you can do this for free unless you're unconscious. That said, I did add smelling salts because your first character in Mages of War had a bad habit of failing a couple fear tests, and one of them you passed out. And I was like, that's possible that could happen a lot. Characters should have a way to not pass out better. Smelling salts.
Alright, so, as usual, I'm gonna just link you this.
Okay, shoot me a link.
I'm gonna shoot you a link.
Beam it to me.
You don't have to watch it right now, as I said, but anytime I think adrenaline shots, this is what always comes to mind. But let me read you a passage from the Legend of Tanya the Evil. The flavor text for Chapter 5, Volume 2, says, "A shovel is an implement born of civilization. Hooray for civilization." And further in that chapter, upon page 253, Tanya goes on to say, "Shovels are fantastic for rookie education. We can bury their waste products, shut them up, and if necessary, bury them as well. They're useful no matter where you are, trench, base, or graveyard." That's the kind of fucking person Tanya is, and that is, like, her mindset all throughout the series. I'm like, whoa.
Do any of you guys own an E-tool, by the way? I don't think you do own an entrenching tool. That's terrible.
Well,
but that said, you are like the complete opposite of a Tanya. Other than the fact that you both have huge aversions to getting shot, you are like the exact opposite of a Tanya type commander.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I told you to if not that the Major would do this either because she's all. I mean, like I said, despite the fact that she was slightly inspired by Tanya, she's very much in the style of all mages from this setting, which is like, she's highborn and super talented, but actually, let me check what her quirks are, because she does actually have them. So let's see what her personality type is supposed to be based on.
AC 130 mission. Booyah!
But let's see.
25mm Gatling gun, 40mm Bofors cannon, and the 105mm M102 cannon.
Yeah. Okay. So the things that the now major has is she has duelist, famous, petite, and nocturnal.
This is why she's always reading fucking dime backs in the middle of the fucking night.
Yeah, she's a night person.
Those are the strobes.
But yeah, so she's... You can hopefully tell from that her personality type is obviously different, other than the fact that she's a night owl.
Mm-hmm.
But, so she wouldn't order you to, like, blow up a civilian town or something like that. And luckily, you're not on the Western Front, so you're not invading Belgium. But...
Yeah. Belgium was the site of I think the first German chemical attack in World War I.
Yeah, that would be, I think, the Battle of Ypres.
Yeah, I think that's right.
But yeah, no, the German Imperial forces were not very kind to Belgium in real life, because, unfortunately, this was the first war that Europeans fought against Europeans in quite a while, and they'd been busy fighting colonial wars, so the lovely European peoples of Belgium got to feel what it's like to be under an oppressive expansionist empire, because they burned a lot of libraries, and they burned some churches, burned a lot of books. They rounded up lots of civilians and shot them for acting as partisans, and in general were not nice to the Belgians. Which, if you're looking at history from like an objective standpoint that we can, and be like, well, of course they're like that. The only thing they've been cutting their teeth is they've been in places like Africa and Southeast Asia doing this. Why the flip would you suddenly think that they would treat Europeans differently? But at the time was very shocking. And now because there's not as much of a, like, colonialism is not as much of a theme in my setting, deliberately, because I'm like, I don't want to deal with that shit. Like, I think I've said this before. Don't think of that as me, like, dismissing the shittiness of European powers in real life. That's me going, boy, in history, European powers are really shitty. That's not the theme I want to go for this game, so I will write things around it in the logical way that works for my setting.
Yeah.
But still, you had this conversation when you actually rolled, like, a tactics test, I think, when you're in that fortress while your own guys are shelling you, and I was like, okay, so normally as a mage, you're supposed to have this kind of noblesse oblige, right? Like, you're only in it to preserve life. You want to cause the maximum effective damage, and kill the minimum amount of people to get your job done, because, you have mind bullets and stuff. But in warfare, people get hopped up on adrenaline, they're running hot because they're getting shot at, tempers flare. Sometimes people go a little bit crazy and they go overboard.
Yep.
Because that happens. So, when you're in the shit and the combat high comes, mages can get pretty devastating. But I think if somebody ordered you, like if Major Mustache ordered you to attack a civilian town actually populated by civilians, you'd, challenge him to draw steel or something.
Hell yeah, I would.
On the converse, if the major told you, hey, I need you to infiltrate this town and shoot the enemy commanding officer with no civilian casualties in the middle of the night, and you can't get caught, you would be like, yowel. And then you'd cry into your cup of coffee for a couple hours, and then you'd go do it.
That's how I work.
I think, this was definitely, not on an actual play, this was on a WhatsApp episode where I was asking you, like, how do you feel about the major? And we've had this conversation.
Yeah, like, she's like, personally, she's like, I think this is what I said too, is she feels like a difficult little sister. It's like, because, like I said, I established my backstory as she's the one who, quote-unquote, rescued me from the Western Front as I was slowly dying inside from all the shit that was going down.
Yeah, no. Early Western Front's bad. Not technically as bad as later fronts where people are like, tanks and chemical weapons, but, like, the road leading to trench warfare really sucked. Like, you're talking about a good solid 2 years of just attrition assaults.
Yeah, like, see, here's the thing. Chemical warfare and tank warfare came about to get rid, like, to expedite these battles of,
right,
like...
because before, trench warfare was, okay, you're going over the top. You're going to bum rush across no man's land, and we're going to hope enough guys get through that we can take their trenches. Pro tip, that usually didn't happen. So, yeah, no, like, if you were flying mage now, you were probably always a flying mage, so you probably were, like, running recon and spotting and aerial assault for some of these, but still, that's like a really sucky job to have.
Yeah, because they would have anti-air emplacements, artillery. Like, even if you're flying, artillery can still fucking hit you.
Mm-hmm. And I actually had to add a new vehicle profile because technically... So, flak works for anti-mages and planes and smaller planes, but bigger planes, the actual AA guns are... they're actually modeled in Azure Lane because they kept using them well into the Second World War, but they're like big blobby guns with, timed fuses that shoot shrapnel at you, so I added actual AA cannons. Those are more common on naval ships, but still, there's a whole technology around hitting people in the air. That sucks.
Yeah.
All of which really sucks. I think flat cannons are critical and crippling, and they have blast, so they can blow up near you. It's just not a good time. Which is what you're going to have to deal with in our next session. Well, probably not. Probably the next session will be a lot of planning and roleplay because I actually have plans for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you guys buy Christmas gifts.
The what?
I said I'm going to make you guys buy Christmas gifts.
Oh, it is fucking... Yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, yeah, it's getting along to there. But yeah, like, I think, like, early next year in game is when, like, the supposed, like, major assault on the African colonies begins. So, yeah. I don't know. Like, here's the thing. I really like Wolfgang Schmidt. Like, I really like him. So
he's a great character.
I don't... Yeah, so, like, even after this campaign ends, I would definitely like to maybe have a way to keep using him.
And like, who knows? Maybe that. I don't know.
Yeah.
At some point, I have to figure out my whole war timeline, and like I've kind of thought about where the future of this setting should go into more advanced years.
Yeah.
The short version is that shit gets real Magitech.
Mm-hmm.
Because the setting is already predicated on the fact that magic and technology are not that indistinguishable. Like, industrialization affected magic as much as it did anything else. So, like, I'm imagining since you can convert Ethereum, you can convert electricity to Ethereum and Ethereum to electricity, that in the future, that's basically going to be how everything works. You know, like how you have an internet line and a power line right now? In the future, you're going to have a magic line, and just people are going to do, like, magic on apps, and, like, everybody can use a little bit of magic in their day-to-day life, but mages are like, oh shit, you can do magic alone without being, like, plugged into the network, so they're still really valuable. Also, we may or may not have raised the question of, are demons still a thing? And answered that with, yes, demons are still a thing, everybody. They still exist. Watch your ass.
Oh, that was a question. Are there any, like, magics to, like, extend your natural life?
Well, that would probably be mostly a ritual thing, but under time, there is, under the powerful and normally restricted from players time aspect, there is one that, I think it's called, like, Time Abyss, which is, like, you no longer age naturally. You will still die if somebody stabs you, but you will live forever otherwise.
Well, no, because that was one of those things I was thinking about, because as I said, I would like to keep playing Wolfgang, but, time and age are a thing. So
I don't think I've noted anywhere if mages have a naturally longer lifespan. I wouldn't be surprised. You guys get to live healthier, and you have access to the best healthcare because your healthcare is literally magic.
Oh yeah, and I would like to imagine that, like, magical healing, like, actually does, like, restore.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, when depending on what you're doing, your body eventually breaks down. Magic wouldn't do that because it's magical. It's a restoration. And high-level magic is very potent. Like, the top-level heal is, like, restoration is like, oh, your fucking limb fell off? Let me fix that for you.
Yeah.
And obviously, the final one is resurrection. Is, oh, you died? Got your back, buddy.
Maybe it could be one of those, maybe like, youth restoration or, like, longevity is something that's, like, just, like, something that you have to do, like, an occasional ritual on. Because I was actually looking at rituals, like, you can just do basic-ass fucking rituals to, like, set up alarms, wards, all that stuff. Stuff that's not, like, necessarily, like, under, like, a specific tree, but...
Yeah, you can do a lot of stuff using rituals that isn't necessarily the same as, like, fast and loose battle magic.
Yeah,
it's
so,
more
I can
like,
see, like,
I'm
there's,
gonna build a system that does this thing.
So I can see that. Yeah, there's a ritual that will like extend your like natural life, but you know, the older you use it, like the harder it gets, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's also the whole thing that everything's built on a system of like a year and a day.
Mm.
And of course, if you wanted to align yourself with infernal powers, not that Wolfgang would ever do that, I'm sure there's all kinds of Groupon benefits you can get for Team Evil. Oh, you want to live forever? Sure, let me just dip you in a little bit of demon juice and turn you into a vampire. So just drink your blood regularly, you'll be fine.
Yeah. Well, that's because that's one of those things that, like, yeah, like maybe Wolfgang like makes it to fucking World War II when he has to like come to grips with like maybe his honorable nature and whatever not Hitler is fucking doing.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be inspired by like maybe some SMT type Cthulhu shit. Is Hitler
Maybe.
Cthulhu the whole time? I don't know.
Who knows?
There's definitely something awful in there.
Yeah. As I said, because like I said, like again, Mages of War is, you know, it's been really like stimulating my appetite for World War One and all that stuff. So it's like, you know, learning about that stuff, and I feel like if we get into the World War II scenario, it would be same thing would happen, especially since we expand upon things like so much more technology. Oh my god.
Yeah, there'd be a lot more variety in tanks. You'd actually get the quote-unquote assault rifle.
Mm-hmm. It's just one of those things of, like...
You could have bazookas instead of shitty anti-tank lances.
What was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, and I say this because, forever, Lucky, loves gear. Oh, yeah, now I got the fucking...
Yeah, and like I said, I love gear, too, so it's like, God, there's so many, if I could give you guys computers, like, that would be a whole thing. Like, actually, if this setting went far enough in the future, I'd have to, like, rewrite some of the magic rules. I would have to pull some void spells and some reinforcement spells out and build a whole new aspect tree, which is just the machine aspect. How ether moves through complex systems. And that would be, like, your technopathy and stuff like that.
But that's what I want to do. I want to stay Wolfgang for this entire experience.
In the year 2010... Cyber Wolfgang. You become Big Boss. That's great. With your robot hand. Like, I thought whether or not I want to make weaponized prosthetics, but I'm like, no, let's leave that for now. Though, if you have warp steel and you got a prosthetic arm, you could totally Edward Elric some motherfuckers.
I would totally Edward Elric some motherfuckers.
The question is just whether or not, like, I'm thinking, would you be able to hide a shotgun in your robot arms? And I'm like, let's not yet. As much as I love that episode of Ghost in the Shell, let's save that.
Theoretically, you could probably do a single, like, knowing what I know about engineering and whatnot, and metallurgy, you could probably do, like, a single shot.
And then you have to disassemble your arm and put the shell back in.
Well, not just that, it's just that the shock and power of it, like, as I said, like, gun maintenance is a thing. Like, this is something that we really don't do in fucking, Mages of War, but, like, back then, like, gun barrels, like, especially for, like, automatic weapons and stuff, they had to bring spare gun barrels to swap them out because they would overheat and warp.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and then otherwise you would, like, I've noted the game says in a couple of places, like, we assume normally you have sufficient cooling so that you don't have to deal with that, and then, theoretically, if something happens to your gun, like, in a conflict, you get it replaced normally, hopefully.
Yeah, so it's...
Because there are rules for damaging your own weapons, so...
Yeah. Yes, but it's like one of those things, like, in, like, a literal sense with the technology this has, and, like, how, like, arms, like, how, like, prosthetics are and stuff. Mm. Like, you would have to have, like, a solid metal prosthetic that'd be heavy and ungainly, and it just, like, wouldn't work. Yeah. You could do, like...
and I should note, prosthetics in the setting are literally magic. Like, literally. I'm pretty sure that means you can't use them if you're not a mage. There's, like... you'd have to be a non-mage carrying around Ethereum cores, which is not going to happen. Those things are valuable. That's another thing, by the way, that would change as technology gets on. Like, there's already the experimental core, which is like twice the charges of the normal core. So in the future, they'd be getting even more dense.
In the future, that means that like cell phones and shit are going to have like tiny Ethereum cores in them.
Probably. That's probably how you cast magic with your cell phone. Because I'm like, that's totally going to happen. You totally have a magic. Because magic is all arrays. With ritual magic, anybody who can access the ether can do any spell. So, if you could have your screen pour energy and print an array, you could do magic with just your phone. But it'd be shitty, and you'd have no control over it because it's all your phone doing it. Which is why, like I said, mages would stay relevant because the ability to actually... It's like the difference between you owning a cell phone now and, like, opening apps and, like, being a programmer. Mm-hmm. Like, you use electricity every day. I'm on a computer right now. Do I understand how to do anything really advanced with it? Not really. I know a little bit of HTML. And I know how to do formatting in lots of different programs, but, like, I can't really get up in the guts. Also, I was looking up, so Resurrection is anybody who has died that you can touch within the past minutes equal to your degrees of success. And if you get them, they come back. They're stabilized. They are they become fatigued, but they're stabilized. They get 1 wound and they get all their blood count back. But if they have like broken bones or anything, they'll stay.
I think I'm just gonna start casting a ritual like once in a while that just reinvigorates my health or something.
Well,
I don't fucking know.
You do have a Healy Bot Mage for it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, yes, there could be magic
Whoops,
VR.
that was my own guy. I am sorry.
Rip.
That's what you get for getting in the way of my headshot.
That's
guess.
A big rip.
God, this is like again. This is why I say, like don't actually put me in like a major combat situation. I'm not good at like target acquiring. It moves, I shoot it. God damn it.
Actually, that's a good question. Did they give you any? I assume they give you some kind of firearm training when you sign up for the Navy, right? Just in case.
Oh no, dude. I am technically trained to use handguns, semi-automatic rifles, automatic rifles, and shotguns. But here's the thing. They don't give you, they give you basic training. They don't give you advanced training. So, okay, this is what you do. You do this to use this. This is how you swap your mags. This is how you reload. This is how, you shoot. This is the proper firing positions. They don't really teach you on how to quickly identify a target and take them out.
Right. They're not giving you a tactical drill. They're giving you here's how you don't shoot your own foot off.
Yeah. So, that's, something you have to go into, Marines or, Marines, Army, something that is, actually boots on the fucking ground.
I'm sure there are some naval security guys who probably are like, hey, your job is to stand on the boat and point guns, so here's how you know how to shoot people we tell you to shoot.
Yeah, we have, MPs, Master at Arms, and all that stuff. They probably do that shit real good. The thing on the ship is... we are very, everyone is in uniforms, everyone is very distinct. If someone who was, not in that,
if some dude in black pajamas crawled up on the boat and you saw him, you'd be like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, but over here, where I'm in the Middle East, where my guys are wearing camo and browns, and the enemies are wearing, camo and browns, I'm all it takes me a second. But here's the thing. Because I'm a veteran, that second is enough for them to fucking kill me.
Yeah.
So I'm
I honestly think some of the Middle Eastern ones are actually, depending on your setting, they're actually easier because irregulars are just, hey, those guys tend to wear black pajamas.
Mm-hmm.
Which in real life makes it complex to decide about shooting them because is that an enemy combatant? Well, he's holding an AK, so I'm gonna assume yes.
By this car.
But he's not wearing a uniform. But yeah, no, fuck some of the Russian missions in Modern Warfare 1, because, hey, guess what? I think technically the Russians do use a different camo pattern than us, but it's real hard to tell in the dark.
Well, usually all the Russian missions are in the fucking dark, and I'm like...
In the dark, with your NVGs on, where everything is green, and you're like, is that angry man shooting at me? The game does give you a little bit of blurb. If you deliberately point at your own guy, you can't pull the trigger. But if you're pulling the trigger already and accidentally sweep over your own guy, you can still hit him a little bit.
Yeah. They don't penalize me for
No, you have to hit your... At least in Modern Warfare 1, you have to hit your own team a lot to kill them.
Yeah.
Usually it's a grenade fuck-up.
Yeah, so...
But they're pretty resilient, and the game is the game really doesn't want you to shoot your own teammates, and they will let you... Excuse me.
I'm getting better about not shooting my teammates, but every once in a while... this guy who, I'm firing down...
We talked about their pathfinding last time. It's sometimes they just pop through weird doors. And you're like, well, shit, what are you doing in front of me? Gaz, why are you there?
What keeps happening. This guy like gets up from like beside the tank, runs like literally in front of me while I'm trying to shoot down. Oh god, that car blew. I'm just gonna hang out by the fucking tank. Fuck you guys.
Solid move.
And he just gets in the middle of my fire. I'm like, this is literally like one of the things you're taught not to do. Always keep your lines clear.
The AI pathing is not good about that. But from a little bit of 2 I played, I think they're slightly better. You in some scenes you have shitloads of dudes, but they're actually firing in big masses and they don't move around, and then you kind of shrink down to a smaller couple of guys, and they're fairly effective at sticking with you or running ahead of you and like not getting in your way directly unless you're being really slow, and they actually shoot people sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
But I think that's because they're programmed, because this was in the first, well, technically the second, because the first mission is, you do your basic bits training course stuff, firing range and whatnot. But at least in that case, you're clearing a school that is full of insurgents, so your NPCs are actually doing like a breach and clear drill. They're actually like sweeping rooms, will go left, and if they touch tips with an enemy, they'll actually shoot him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I know. Like breaching and clearing like does not work. They don't do it in this.
No, and I think that's something they improved, but that's also because they deliberately wrote a map where that's like, and here's the story: is you're in a school clearing it. So they're actually programmed a little bit tighter to do that, as opposed to, I think, in 1 where the AI is programmed mostly to vaguely run around near where you're running and sometimes shoot guys.
Yeah, you see, like, the way breach and clear is basically you go in and you hug walls so that you can always maintain the most field of vision on a target, in a sense, like, especially as you go around corners and stuff. Because that's where people will fucking get you. Like, the moment you go around a corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, one of the big things is in corner cover, slicing the pie. You want to tactically, leading with your gun, kind of like, squitch the corner. And that you can tell a really tactical first-person shooter by if you can lean or not.
Yeah. Like,
in Rainbow Six, you can lean.
Do that. Yeah, I can't do that in this game, and it, like, honestly annoys the fuck out of me.
In Call of Duty, no, you can't lean. Your solution to corners is frag.
Yeah, no, literally.
Oh, there's an asshole around this corner. Hold on, let me corner box a grenade around the corner, because that's how that works. Like we're playing fucking Rocket Ball or something.
And as I said, on harder difficulties, when I have to take my corner blind, I have to still swing my gun around, because it's a lot more difficult than I really should, because when you breach and clear, you have multiple guys doing this with you.
Yeah, and they execute in an orderly fashion. It's just like we said, the AI is not coded for that. Because I've played a lot of SWAT 4, which is you do a lot of breaching and clearing in that, and the AI is not the greatest because the game's from like 2003 or 4, I want to say, but they're programmed with breaching and clearing in mind. So when you tell them to stack up on a door, they stack up. When you tell them to breach and clear, they breach. They immediately like follow in a line and start pointing at different corners of the room and like chasing each other around. Like they will get their eyeballs in every corner of the room.
Oh, that's why this dude's been killing me.
If there's a fugitive in there, they'll be like, "Drop your weapon." But they're not as smart as you, so most of the time they don't shoot unless they absolutely have to. That said, if they pull the trigger, that guy's fucking dead. SWAT 4 is a fun game, and like there's a difference between tactical shooters and more like action movie shooters. Call of Duty is definitely like an action movie type shooter. It's a little bit grittier than some of those, like, but you can totally be a fucking one-man army. How many Russians have you killed today? I'm pretty sure in most war, you don't rack up kills in the dozens in a day.
No.
But boy howdy, I'm pretty sure not even the SAS on commando missions will actually rack up that much.
Like, honestly, most engagements don't have this many fucking people.
No, and also they're not that fucking close.
No.
And also you don't hit that many people. Actual military shooting accuracy is awful.
Yeah. Like I said, like Middle East, there were no like large scale fucking attacks. It was all guerrilla warfare. So you would have
the biggest was, which I think some of these are meant to impact, is stuff like Fallujah and other stuff, which I'm pretty sure is what one is based on. Is like, no, some of those operations we actually did where they're like, this is an enemy-held city, basically. We're going to roll up in and storm it, and it sucks a lot.
Yeah. It wasn't constant, it wasn't constant fighting, but there would be, like, basically, like, groups of guys that would just pop out of windows with RPGs and IEDs and rain hell upon your guys. Not just literally this...
Asymmetric warfare is fun.
Oh my god.
That's a joke, by the way. Though, we learned a fucking lot. We learned a lot. That's what war does. You learn things. Like, we were talking about the World War I thing, like, there were so many military technologies invented just because the armies were presented with a problem and they were like, shit, this sucks. How do we win through this? And that was like, alright, hold on, what if we had a metal box with all around treads so you can't flip it over or some shit, and we put machine guns and artillery pieces and fucking flamethrowers on it, and we just drove it over no man's land. And they were like, holy shit, you're brilliant. Build me a shitload. As fast as we could build them. And that was the Mark I tank. Because that's literally, it was like, how the fuck do we get across no man's land without getting our asses blasted by artillery and machine guns? We'll build a bunker on treads, and we'll just fucking roll over everything. And if they try to say shit, we'll shoot them with our own machine guns. And then it's like, well, how the fuck do you stop angry metal boxes? I know, we'll set them on fire. Or, the first German anti-tank turret, where they got high-caliber rifles with armored bullets, and we're like, just shoot him. Shoot him with a bigger bullet. That's always the solution. Use more gun.
I think we've mentioned this on What's Up before, but war is generally when we get the most technological advances in all fields, especially like food preservation, medicine, warfare, of course, electronics, signal technology.
Yeah, war is basically one of the most desperate times of humanity, and necessity is the mother of invention. So that is the time when you need your shit turning out the fastest, so it turns around fast. And depending on how desperate you are, people might look at things in peacetime and go, oh, that's a fucking lot of money, we don't need that. But in war, it's like, especially with the way the US likes to spend defense budget money, it's like, listen, dude, honestly, we need some shit right now. Like, talking about, like, well, I've mentioned before MRAP kits for, like, our vehicles, mine-resistant ambush protection. It's like, yo, our guys are getting slaughtered by fucking tubes of soda with bathtub Semtex in them, and guys with RPGs leaning out of windows, like Lucky said. What do we do to stop that? Well, we'll cover them in little shields and armor, and we'll just make it so they explode less, and I think it's worked. I think MRAP kits have been pretty successful in terms of our guys in Humvees die less.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, but, hey, that's a hard lesson we had to learn fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was actually thinking about it, because, as I said, U.S. has, like, the world's highest, like, defense spending budget, like, several times over from, like, the next several countries on the list. And I was thinking about it, I was like, actually, no, the more... I used to, like consider, like, yeah, I'm, like, wasteful spending and stuff, but then I started thinking about it, I'm like, no, it's just because we have that much of a military presence, and we have that much area to cover. Like, just think about, the continental U.S., It's pretty fucking huge.
And yeah, it's about the entire size. We've done this map comparison before. It's about the entire size of the continental Europe.
Yeah, I know, and this is just one nation with, technically, like, one, like, military. Mm-hmm. And then there's, like, our overseas presence, and then there's just the cost
unlike, say, Russia, which is another big country, there's lots of tracts of Russia where there's fucking nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they have lots of wilderness up there in the hinterlands, which is, like, you don't really care about that.
Yeah.
The U.S. is temperate most of the part.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, we have people everywhere, and they matter. Like, even in flyover states, we grow a shitload of food out there, which is very important.
Mm-hmm. You'll often have, like,
we're a country that has an excess of food. We actually export food, which is pretty great. So yeah, but then you were talking about, like, we got a lot of overseas posts, and we got a lot of overseas allies.
Yeah, and have you actually, like, Modern Warfare has educated me with the cost of, like, some of this equipment? Like the cost of a single Javelin missile, the Javelin is basically one of the, shoulder-mounted, rocket launchers that has lock-on capabilities.
Yeah, I don't remember the serial number, but the Javelin is actually in real life an amazing missile system that's, like, revolutionary. It's guide by image, and it has that special top attack where it flies straight up and comes down on top of the target in a ballistic arc.
Yeah, it's great. Fucking love it.
Yeah, they're high tech as shit and they're expensive, but boy howdy, do they work?
Yeah, the cost of the missile itself is just $80,000 for a single javelin missile. Jesus fucking Christ.
But hey, when you need that missile, it works.
Yeah, especially anytime you fire that missile.
Lots of stuff takes some testing, so sometimes you have a few duds before you get the thing that works.
I can't remember, but I think they said one of the AC-130s was $2.2 million, just for one. And Jesus fucking Christ, man, I want me some goddamn Spectres. They are great. That is a guy behind a door. I shoot the door. Things are good. And that's another guy, and I'm dead. But it's just these things that protect us and protect others. They're not cheap.
So the per unit cost of an F-22 Raptor, which is a ludicrously overdesigned but very effective fighter, is $150 million per unit.
Yeah.
But boy howdy, they're really good at what they do.
And remember, a lot of these things are made by the lowest bidder.
Yeah,
so
the total program cost has been $60-something billion. But that's the research and development and testing costs.
The cost of a single Tomahawk cruise missile, $900,000.
Oh, we get our money out of those.
I just died, so I got to see that.
we get our money's worth out of Tomahawks.
Yeah, but as I said, war is fucking expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Military is fucking expensive.
Here's the thing. Shit doesn't get cheaper unless you actually put money into it. You have to put money in first before it gets cheaper. Think of how much a cell phone costs. Some of them, if they're cutting edge, still cost a shitload of money. But
oh yeah, they do.
The original price, a lot, and then stuff gets as miniaturization, as production lines get smoothed over, as research gets done to we can figure out that we can make these with different, less expensive components, or we figure out how to make them more efficiently. Costs go down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a paradox, right? To spend less on the military, you would have to spend a decent chunk first to streamline the process of what technologies you want to work and be most efficiently costed.
Well, to find the effects of to make things more efficient and miniaturization and stuff, everything costs money. Nothing's free. You can't just spend less and expect to get a better product.
No. And I know, politically speaking, some people are well, maybe we shouldn't have so much overseas involvement and so on. I mean, I can see that if you're for a more isolationist stance, but at the moment, for a long period of time, the tendency of our foreign policy has been leaning interventionist and we were prepared for the Cold War, so America has some of the most terrifying force projection in the world.
Oh, yeah.
If there is some shit going on that we don't like, we are there right away. There's a carrier group on your coast right now, launching Tomahawks and launching planes, and we're looking at you and we're telling you to stop.
Yeah. As I said, our overseas presence is just as much a deterrent effect as it is as a policing effect. It's kind of you behave now or the fucking Americans are going to send a fuck ton of shit at you.
And
because they're crazy.
I honestly, our country's weird sometimes. In peace or in extended war, we don't like fighting. You see that with Vietnam. You see that in the tail end of Iraq and Afghanistan. People start to give you our boys and girls are out there dying for what? That question comes after a while. That's a normal morale thing.
Mm-hmm.
But boy, howdy, you do something that pisses us off first, then we're all in.
Oh yeah, 9/11 happened. Oh my god!
If you fuck with us, America is very fast to turn around and go be we're there. We're ready to
9/11 happened. I think literally weeks, not even a week. We were in the Middle East.
No, it was fast. Because I just watched that documentary series by CNN, and they had a whole episode dedicated to it. It was no, it was soon after. It was definitely within the month. All the research came together, and President Bush was on the TV saying, "All right, we're bombing the shit out of Afghanistan because the Taliban and the Al Qaeda are there, and they run training camps and shit. So and our goal is to make it so that terror groups like Al Qaeda can no longer persecute attacks against us from this country." And I guess it worked. It's been a long ass time since we had a serious terror attack on our Not like a domestic terror, but like a serious foreign terror attack on our soil.
Yeah,
I know there have been some in Europe since, but
said,
so far well, honestly, like if you want to get cynical about it, the things we did in the Middle East turned the Middle East into a shithole with like ISIS and stuff, and lots of civil war over there, which may or may not be working. Which we also had to send some dudes to stabilize in, but it didn't really spill over to here. Yeah. So hey, you can call it a success. And honestly, like I said, I think I said this at the time when we were talking about the scene, and I came in like, while Iraq was definitely a questionable call, it's not like Saddam Hussein was trying to be nicer to us under the threat that we might, considering we just knocked over another Middle Eastern country like a couple weeks ago. Like he didn't go out of his way to make us think that he wasn't serious business, and there was a lot of direction, and there were theoretical intelligence sources that were not necessarily checked out before we rolled in, but like we were in a situation where we were ready and raring to go. Mm-hmm. I think, like I said at the time, I don't think worse of President Bush for condoning that operation. I think bad of maybe some of his advisors who pressured him into it, but like a lot of the country was still ready to go. There's another Middle Eastern country talking shit. Whatever, we'll knock them over too.
Like, come at me, bro.
And there's a lot of countries I really hope we don't have to knock over, because that's just a huge pain in the ass.
That's war in a nutshell. A fucking huge pain in the ass.
Yeah. Global tensions.
As I said, war is one of those unfortunate consequences of just human nature.
Yeah, I think we talked about that, where it's like war is one of the most desperate and complex situations of the human existence, and it also seems endemic to the human condition, and I don't know if it'll ever go away.
I honestly,
because at the end, this is like violence. At the end of the day, there's always going to be someone who has something or knows something that you want or you don't want him to have or know, and there are going to be people who are willing to fight over that. Yeah. And once that scales up enough, that's warfare. That's literally how warfare is. It's once you go up from the we're having a brawl in the street to we're having a brawl with the next town over, like that's war. And like I said, I don't know if the fact that we have violent impulses and inclinations, if that'll ever truly go away. I don't know. I'm not a social psychologist.
Me neither, but it's just one of those things. Like honestly, like literally, like stuff can like break out merely over a difference of opinion. It's just like how like things should be run, like how people should be treated, like how like things like that. Like we have like small scale things like that.
Yeah. And
the
honestly,
time, and
we're
it's just like
if you think about like our policing, we're pretty conservative in terms of not knocking over countries that are kind of shitty. Like there are a lot of countries in the Middle East that are arguably pretty shitty places to live. They have like horrible oppressive regimes. They're terrible to women. They're part of their sources for drugs and stuff.
African states. North Korea is remote.
North Korea is a fun trip.
Oh my god! But
but hey, God, I would really hate to go. I would really hate to have to knock over that country. That's not a great. We tried that. That's not a great life.
Nah, but like as I said, like you hear about stuff about crazy about North Korea like all the fucking time, like them doing missile tests, and people are like, "What the fuck, North Korea?" But UN's just like sanctions, more sanctions,
which doesn't like that doesn't. Because ultimately the thing I think what sanctions does is that hurts the morale of the populace, because sanctions is like, okay, you can't trade, so your economy is restricted, your goods and services are restricted. Yeah. That doesn't affect the people who are already sitting high and mighty in North Korea. Like, ultimately, what does that do? You think there's going to be social pressure from inside that country that those people change the way they run things? I don't know if that's the way their society would work. Like, are you trying to cause an armed rebellion? Because I think that's what you'd be going for.
Yeah. So, again, like, as much as, like, people might seem like we're a bit trigger-happy, like, at the same time, we're not.
No, there's plenty of places where if we were actually Team America World Police, like, there's quite a few Middle Eastern countries and African countries, and maybe some South American ones, where we'd be intervening a lot more. But I think we got a little bit out of the intervention game for a while there. Well, I know there's a lot of people talking about... Shoot.
Like, especially after, like, Like especially after the Korean and Vietnam War, where we kind of got our asses handed to us.
Yeah. That was the Cold War and the whole "we must be a bulwark against communism" thing. Like, that really didn't necessarily work out for us in a lot of cases. So like I said, we got a little bit out of the intervention game.
Yeah.
Right up until Desert Storm, where that was like, that was post Cold War. That was, Kuwait was an ally and Saddam was being a bully for oil, and we were like, all right, you're attacking one of our military allies. We can't really let that fly. That from a military standpoint, that doesn't really work.
No.
It's like if China was like, hey, America, we're not trying to start any shit with you, but we're invading Japan. So could you leave your military bases there? No, that's not how that works.
No, literally, Japan
the JSDF helped us out in the Middle East in basically Second Gulf, even though that's not what the JSDF is for. I think the Japanese people were actually a little nettled about that at the time, because that's the JSDF is literally the Japanese self-defense force. But
because we literally told them, you guys have to fucking demilitarize.
So
and that's why
no. If China decided to roll into Japan, we'd probably, from a political standpoint, we'd have to do something, because otherwise we'd lose all international credibility.
Yeah.
So that's I'm pretty sure that's why the first Persian Gulf happened. And boy howdy, we from descriptions, that was basically like we got to use all the Cold War toys that we never got to use. We were preparing for the big one. The Russians were going to come rolling out of East Germany one day, and they never did. The Soviets never did that. Somehow.
Oh, man, the Berlin Wall was fucking a mess.
Yeah. That's the whole thing, too. And just when it came down, that was like, wow. But, yeah, no, like, for the longest time, we were concerned that the Cold War was going to hot, and like I said, the Russians were, the Soviet Union, I should say, was literally going to come pouring out of the Iron Curtain, in T-72s. And way more than we had. So we had a lot of fun toys cooked up for in case that happened, and that didn't. And
we got this close to nuclear war.
We were this close a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Like, I think mutually assured destruction actually worked. Like, nobody was quite willing to risk extinguishing the entire human race. Like,
that was one of the few moments of human clarity.
I think that heavy weight gave people pause just long enough for people to be reasonable.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you need that weight you have to consider. So if we start some shit, that's it. This could be the end of all life as we know it.
Actually, there was a really good quote I saw in Modern Warfare from Albert Einstein. He says, I know not what weapons World War III will be fought with, but I know that World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones.
Yeah, that's a very famous quote of his.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah. And I'm pretty sure he was alluding to nuclear weapons and whatnot, and just like, yeah, it's just kind of fucking terrifying to think how close that all came. And I give thanks that cooler heads prevailed at the end.
Mm-hmm. In those critical moments, they did.
Mm-hmm.
And also, maybe Big Boss did something, and he did push-ups on a giant robot or something to stop it. I don't know. Peace Walker was great. No, that's Heaven's Divide. But also, actually, can he push up the Shagohod? Maybe. Big Boss is really fucking strong. Like, he can literally do push-ups on some of the giant robots in Peace Walker. Peace Walker's fun. But it's also a trip. But yeah, so like, Persian Gulf was a really fast-paced war. It was like, hey, here's all this shit we were waiting for the Soviets to use, like, the Abrams and our stealth bombers and stuff. We're just gonna completely fuck your shit in about 5 minutes. And we did. And then we got to the point and we were like, okay, Saddam, don't do anything bad. We're gonna leave. But if you make us angry again, we're gonna come back. And he didn't listen. He didn't listen.
Nope.
I don't know what he was thinking.
Well, that's the thing. Like, theoretically, on paper, a dictatorship is just someone, just in the mainstream is just someone who's basically taking supreme authority for himself. But unfortunately, it seems like there's been a case where anyone who assumes a dictatorship is a supreme fucking dick. And I'm like,
well, yeah, there's definitely something to be said for the person who has the ego to assume total control. And also, like, I think that we've talked about that before with, like how to treat people, that like, when you're in that position where literally you are in control of an entire country, and if you say something like somebody dies, like, if you unironically, point to that one asshole minister you don't like and say, somebody shoot that man, like, one of those guys with guns around you is going to pull a gun and shoot that guy. Like, that's a really weird thing that I think humans are not usually psychologically prepared for, and it means you stop acting like a normal, functional person. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what's been going on with North Korea for a while, is those guys are treated way too well. They're worshipped as, like, a living god or whatever and stuff, and it's like,
Yeah, because, like, honestly, like, the more I think about it,
that makes you weird.
Like, yeah, like I tell, like, most forms of government, on paper, are not bad. Like, even communism, as much as it has held, like, if it's actually adhered to, like, as communism should.
Yeah, if you could make it, like, I say this as a pseudo-anarchist who also loves, well, maybe not loves capitalism, but capitalism seems very functional. It's lasted a long time. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with the concept of communism or even socialism. It's just, do I trust real-life people to execute these concepts correctly?
Hell no.
No, not really. No, I mean, that's like when people, like, if you take pot shots at libertarianism or anarcho-capitalism, where you're like, well, who will pay for the roads if they're like toll roads or whatever? It's like, I mean, ideally, if the concept works, the people who use the roads pay for them. But you're pointing out the obvious, which is like, people are often dicks, so yeah, maybe the roads wouldn't get maintained. But the ideological concept is sound, and I think that, like, if you're taking those pot shots at the practicality of other people's political ideologies, you should always be prepared to take that inward-looking eye. Mm-hmm. Don't throw stones in glass houses is an idiom for a reason. Like, do I think that this country should be more socialist and, like, do more nationalized stuff? Not really, but that's because I'm not comfortable with the way our government spends money right now, regardless of party affiliation. Like, do I want them to take even more of my money and spend even more of it? I don't think so. I'm not against the principle, but practically, I'm like, I don't know if they could actually do this in a pragmatic fashion.
It's like, do I need my House of Reps and Senates to give themselves another pay raise? Like, no, I don't.
No. By the way, I don't think they are, but pay grades for elected officials should be controlled by direct vote on the ballot. Oh, just saying. That should be a thing. I'm sure it's not, and so it never will be because they're never going to let that happen, but that's totally how it should be. I should literally control your paycheck. It's not just that I have to vote to keep you, I have to keep voting to keep you in office, but also I should, like, feel like I can have you make less money if I think you're doing a shitty job. But I'm a very classic in the concept of American government. Like, civil service should be a service. It should be something you do for the sake of it, not so you get paid. It's not a privilege,
which is how it's
how it has become, unfortunately. But that was not necessarily what America was intended. I would think, like, I'm a pretty constitutionalist leaning thinker. Like, the American Constitution and the Bill of Rights is an amazingly flexible document that has worked for hundreds of years, and I think will continue to work in principle for many more. So,
that's Griggs. No, I'm sorry, Griggs. I didn't mean to shoot you in the head. Thank God you're invincible.
He's not really invincible, but they could take bullets a lot better than you can.
I fucking love Griggs.
Griggs is fun. He comes out of, like, nowhere, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, no,
it's kind of weird.
Like, he shows up in one of the missions. I think, like, the second mission where you're Jackson, because he shows up in the mission where you storm the TV station.
That's right. And he's just part of the reinforcements, but he's a different unit.
Yeah, but he just sticks around, and I fucking love him. He's, like, one of my favorite characters.
He's a lot of fun.
But yeah, what were you saying?
Sorry, I was talking about constitutionalism and how I think that the Constitution is a very resilient document, and that the principles of everything that we've corrected it when stuff has come up, but I think the principles of how it's been written are very effective, and just, they're a very good guideline for government. What is it?
But here's the thing, while it's flexible for, like, while Bill of Rights and stuff are flexible for us and stuff, it's still flexible for those in power, too, because they have no qualms about using it to their own advantage.
Let me pull up my pocket constitution, because yes, I am that guy. Actually, fun fact, I took an honors course in college about the Constitution, which is why I have a pocket constitution. The professor gave them out. But here there's a couple of big important amendments I think are important there, so that people don't talk about. Amendment 9 the enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people. So that's the just because we wrote these down doesn't mean that you don't have other rights rule. And 10 is the powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. So anything we don't say in this document that the United States government can do are retained by the states and by the people. Like, that's really broad writing, but that is so powerful, I think, to the way American government was founded. Like, the founding fathers really debated over making the Constitution work. And because the Articles of Confederation sucked.
Yeah, they did.
So they worked hard to make a living document that would flexibly function, and it has done so, I think. I don't think we've had, like, a major constitutional crisis.
No.
I mean, I know that there's some people who debate over the wording of 2.
Yeah, but that's even then. It's an interpretational thing. It's like, which clause do you want to lean on? Do you want to lean on the well-regulated regulated militia part, or do you want to lean on the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed? I'm like, I mean, I think that even though it says well-regulated, I think we're decently regulated now, and the fact of the matter is that it says shall not be infringed. So that's what it says. If that's not how you want to operate, you should do a constitutional amendment, because we've done that, because it wasn't the Constitution that we banned alcohol. And that really didn't work. Oh man, there was something I was going to say before we got on to the Constitution. Oh! Yeah, like, you're speaking about, like, being a constitutionalist, like, I'm personally more, I lean on the side of, noblesse oblige. And I said, like, I can't really say I subscribe to a specific party thought, but my overarching thought is those in power need to take care of those who are not in power. Because that is the responsibility of someone in power. You know, power isn't free. Power isn't just a,
Yeah, power comes from something. Like, we're past the divine authority stage.
Yeah.
If you are in charge of something, somebody put you there, or something put you there, and so you say, I really need to get, like, a water or something. My throat's getting a little dry.
We've been going for over 2 hours, haven't we? Yeah, we have.
Yeah, we're at about an hour 58.
Oh, really? Okay. But, like, so, like, that's the thing that gets me. It's like, yeah, politicians can have their big paychecks and all that stuff, but, like, are they putting the effort into making, like, our country a better place? And sometimes, like, I don't have a clear yes for that, which was honestly what concerns me a lot. Like, just like, last year with the entire, or no, was it this year? No, it was this year, with the budget proposal. And
yes, the government shutdown.
Yeah, and the government shutdown. I'm like, what are you people doing?
Well, Trump was being a real hardliner about the wall, and like, say what you will about anything, whether or not you agree with him or not, because that is your own personal opinion. You are entitled to it. Mm-hmm. From a practical standpoint, Trump is a great spinner. Anything that happens, President Trump will try and spin around to make it look good for him. So I think he technically caved on the budget issue, but he sure didn't sound like it. And the question is, do people who like him care whether or not he actually quote-unquote lost? Or do they just care that it sounds like he's trying to do what he wants to do? And, like, I mean, the wall thing's, to me, is kind of like, that's a weird issue to try and wrap my head around, because, like, on the one hand, I am all for diversity. Systems that do not have diversity become stagnant and they die. That is just...
Yeah.
That is a fact of evolution, which is applicable to, like, all kinds of ramifications with biological systems. If you force something to stay the same and it can't adapt, it dies. So, yes, there's no such thing as enough diversity, and you should encourage diversity of thought and belief and whatever. On the other hand, from a practical governing standpoint, yeah, you want your borders to be secure. I mean, that's kind of the thing that I feel like is the whole point to having a consolidated government, is, like, you should be doing your part to make sure that the country that you are governing is operating safely and smoothly. So, like, is the wall idea a practical outlet for that? I don't fucking know. It's hard to tell sometimes.
I don't fucking know. I know one thing. It's expensive.
Yeah, it's gonna be expensive, which I don't like. I don't like that idea.
No.
Remember,
as I said, like me personally, I have small concerns. about, the quote unquote illegals and whatnot, because that is it is something that happens. Like, just people come over illegally, and but at the same time, I don't think it's such a major issue, because if you guys don't know, there is a lot of red tape in government.
Yes,
a fucking lot of red tape. People just don't get up and start.
It's like asking, why can't we have a simple tax system? Because we've got a shitload of red tape, and if you had a simple tax system, the entire IRS would disappear, which would really suck for them, because that's a shitload of jobs people have in the government.
Yeah, the IRS is
that's like trying to tell the army that they need to, I don't know, replace everybody with cheap robots or something. They're going to be like, it's going to cost us a lot of jobs. I don't think we like that idea.
Yeah.
They're still gonna, but there's going to be, that's the thing, drones are still going to be powered by dudes sitting in armchairs.
Mm-hmm. But, as I said, do I think there's, concerns about illegal aliens and, drug smuggling and all that stuff? Yeah, board security.
Drugs is that's my wheelhouse right there. That's because I'm a criminal justice major. So on the one hand, the war on drugs fucking sucks, and it's a terrible thing. We should try and change that, because that's not working. On the other hand, boy howdy, are illegal drugs a serious problem and a serious health concern.
Yeah.
That's a Netflix series, I think. What's it called? It's not Narcos, that's because it's not a fiction series. It's is it...
Mule?
I think it's Dope.
I know there's one called Mule, but...
No, this is a non-fiction series. It's a documentary series. I think it's called Dope. It's on Netflix. And it looks at the lives of drug dealers and anti-drug cops. And you learn a lot watching that. Like the fentanyl problem, which is a opiate derivative that's I think it goes into meth? Is fentanyl? Or is it heroin? I don't remember what it is, but fentanyl's it's adjunct to a couple of illegal drugs, and it's normally a medical thing, but it's got a very particular dosage, so it's super likely to kill you. It's really easy to overdose, and it's a lot more addictive and a lot more powerful as an extension. And it's a huge fucking problem in places like Baltimore. And man, that's a serious concern that's hitting, in a lot of ways, some of our most desperate and needy people, right?
Yeah.
Because while drug and drug addiction can hit you at any level of society, it's the truly desperate and people with the shittiest lives who turn to the hardest, crappiest stuff. So, that is literally killing poor people.
Yeah, so there are definitely people illegals or illegal aliens or whatnot.
And maybe not even illegal aliens, but just people who cross the border illegally.
Yeah. So, yeah, just smugglers like that, mules, all that stuff. Yeah, they're coming across the borders, and I think that is something of concern. Do we need a fucking giant concrete wall for this? I don't fucking know. I don't think so. I would like to, because right now...
Yeah, that's the problem. That's one of those things that as an individual, even as a voter, that's really hard to wrap your head around, right?
Yeah.
That's a thing that I don't know if I'm equipped with all the knowledge and training, and I don't know if any one person is to, come to the conclusion if that's a good idea or not.
Yeah, I know. Where the fuck did Trump come with this idea?
I have no fucking idea. It was a campaign thing, he said. I'm going to build a wall. Here's the thing. I have a lot of respect for... Well, I don't have a lot of respect for Trump. I shouldn't say that. But I have a certain amount of respect for his, like I said, his ability to spin. I don't really like him on a personal level. He's kind of skeezy a lot of the time. And
he's a businessman. He's a
skeezy businessman. He's... I feel like at times he's almost like a cartoon character. And the problem is I can't tell if he is a character or not, which bothers me. Because if he's not a character, that means he's probably not a great pick for the highest office in our land, but if he isn't a character, that also brings other concerns. But anyway, I do have a certain amount of respect for, like I said, his ability to spin and just throw shit out there and see if it sticks. So, honestly, I don't fucking know. He may have just said, we're gonna build a wall at a campaign meeting because he thought it would sound cool, and only later were people like, Mr. Trump, you're gonna have to come out with some way to actually make that work if you get elected. And well, shit.
Oh yeah, it was his one time he actually fucking tweeted about how he was gonna kick transsexuals out of the military, and the fucking DOD had a fucking field day. It's all like, can we actually do that?
Yeah, he's constantly throwing out shit, and his people Mathis resigned because Trump said we're getting out of Syria, and he was like, okay, my commander-in-chief doesn't tell me this shit before he shouts it on Twitter. I'm done with this. I'm out of here.
Yeah,
I'm out. Yeah,
of here. Man, fucking. I don't know, but I think Trump's
staff honestly,
has
I don't know if he even gives a fuck about the stuff he says on Twitter, if that matters. He just throws Twitter shit out there to make people talk about it. Like, for all I know, the American government could be running completely smoothly behind closed doors just because Trump's out there throwing fucking low and slow pitches on Twitter that everybody cares about, but don't actually matter.
Yeah. Like, I don't fucking know.
Like I said, that's I think why Trump is concerning, is because you just don't fucking know. Like, is his TV persona the real Trump? Is it? How do you tell? That's another thing that, like, as an individual person, I can't know this. I can't solve that problem on my own.
Yeah, no. Like, I would have to be in, like, a government, like, a position of fairly high standing, and
you would have to be in the Oval Office when he's doing business to actually tell what he's actually like.
And, you know, as just the standard U.S. citizen, that's not something I can do. Like, unless I'm decided to put in the next 20 years of my life of getting up there, and at that point, we're gonna be, like, 3 presidents fucking later, and I'm gonna be like, well, this was kind of a waste. So, it's just one of those things of, like, I don't know. This is why I would like more transparency from our government.
Yeah, transparency would be helpful so that we can make more educated decisions, because it's hard to make educated decisions in politics right now. And honestly, political hardliners don't want you making educated decisions. This goes for both the left and the right. Like, the most hardcore bases just want you to toe the party line and do whatever it is we say, because that's just how we work. Yeah, which I think is unfortunate.
We have your best interests at heart. I swear, just vote for us. Just do it.
That's how all politicians are, which is kind of a shame.
Yeah, it's like don't
because, like, even if you think about like what modern Democrats are doing, like we want a New Deal, or we want to subsidize college for everybody. Just vote for it. We'll sort it out. I know, like, I've heard people talk about how much that's going to cost, and it's like, how much does that actually cost? Like, because sometimes people come up with wildly different numbers, and I'm like, fuck, I don't want to run the math myself. Who do I trust in this? Do I blindly trust the people who are vaguely aligned with me, or do I trust the guys who have a vested interest in making the other group seem wrong and stupid? Like, and Axe is even talking about the fact that we're not technically a two-party system, but we are. You know, it's that kind of thing. Like, we have other political parties, they just don't get any fucking traction.
Yeah, quote unquote. Yeah, thanks Democratic National Convention.
Yeah, like, I know some people are like, Trump knew that WikiLeaks would leak stuff or whatever. That doesn't change the fact that the DNC was still doing shady stuff behind closed doors, and we never would have known if some dudes didn't get in there and steal some emails.
Yeah.
Was that a criminal thing? Sure. Am I upset they did it? No. No. That's if you're running politics, that's a thing that, like, as citizens, we should be able to just do. We should be able to just crawl into your emails and be like, "Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing in here?"
You are literally representing. Like,
you're supposed to be representing our interests anyway. What are you doing? Yeah. What's going on here?
What are you doing? Tell us. We are literally your fucking stockholders.
Basically.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, now that you've said that, it just made me realize that that's unlike businesses. Which are, way more well, they try to be transparent as long as things are doing okay, and sometimes even when they're bad. But they try to work for the stockholders, and, like, because the stockholders are the actual investment, they try to actually keep those guys in the loop, in the direction, and they try to work for them, because otherwise they fucking fail. Politics doesn't work like that somehow.
Yeah. Well, as I said, because it's a transparency thing. We have no idea what they're doing. We have to take their word for it, and that doesn't fly.
No, because that is an unfortunate casualty of our modern, postmodern world, is that you can't just, we've lost our innocence. You can't just take people at their word anymore. No. From like Nixon to up on to Clinton, and even into just, like we said, we were just talking about, George W. Bush. Like, how much did he know? Did he make a bad call sending us into Iraq? Or not?
Like,
stuff
whose
like
agenda
that.
is like, see, this is what I was talking about, like, this is what I was talking about, like, dictatorship. Like, theoretically, dictatorship wouldn't be a bad thing. It's just that, unfortunately, just the way that the position of a dictatorship works is it's usually only falls into those who have massive egos and usually illusions of grandeur. But,
yeah, like, honestly, if you go back to classical thinkers, like, I've actually read Plato's Republic before. Like, there were lots of classical thinkers who thought that a quote-unquote enlightened dictatorship would have been the best form of government. And
yeah, well, because
are they actually wrong? I don't fucking know, but are we ever actually going to get a quote-unquote enlightened dictator?
I don't know. Like, that's something I can't say.
I think going back to an earlier point about how we don't often develop our conclusions, I think the conclusion we're just reiterating a lot is we just don't fucking know.
We don't fucking know. The human condition is fucking strange and volatile.
So that's what I want to kind of tack on. Like, I don't want us to sound like we're attacking anybody's particular politics. If you have trust in your politicians, hey, that's cool that you can pull that off. But we feel like we're in a kind of situation where it's hard to make those calls in a informed sense, and it's gotten harder, I think.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, we don't like to cast shade on how you live your life and how you do whatever you feel is best for you. But at the same time, we're having a hard time picking what's best for us.
Mm-hmm. Things aren't black and white anymore.
And honestly, when the fuck were things ever black and white? There I think, have been very few times in history where shit has been black and white. We've talked about, like, we joked about Magic Hitler before, but I think the number 2, the World War II, that was a time where things turned black and white. Where, like,
it didn't necessarily start black and white,
no,
but it turned black and white by the end.
The Axis forces were really doing some shitty things, and they were pretty okay with doing those basically everywhere. So it really turned into obviously we did some shitty things. We've talked about them before, like firebombing and even using the nukes. But like, that was a situation where it was like, shit, these guys are really bad, and they're gonna do some bad shit if people don't start pitching in and stopping their advances. And arguably, we advanced some pretty shitty people because we let the Soviet Union persist. Stalin was not a great guy, but technically he started on the other side, but then Hitler betrayed him. Mm-hmm. So they started on the same team. And a very real thing about life is, they say the reason why we have a saying for the enemy of my enemy is my friend is because there's times when you feel like it.
No, the enemy of my enemy, it can still be your fucking enemy.
Yeah, that's the version of that saying I like, but people don't necessarily think about it, which is, the enemy of my enemy is their enemy, no more, no less.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a lot of people who think, oh, I'm fighting this guy and you're fighting this guy. Why don't we team up? Never mind that 10 minutes after this thing ends, we're going to lock into a Cold War that's going to last fucking forever. It's going to last way longer than this hot war. But hey, the Soviets pulled some weight, and it's not like they didn't have a shitty time of it. Oh. But yeah. History's fun, kids. I am also a fan of the adage that if you do not study history, you will be doomed to repeat it, which I'm pretty sure is a Modern Warfare After Death quote somewhere. Maybe not in 1, but definitely in 2. It's in one of those games somewhere.
Yeah. Oh no, I am a firm proponent. That's why, like I said, again, I'm really enjoying Mages of War, because again, I'm learning about all these wars and battles, and I'm all like, look.
Yeah, the first World War was a super gray war, and it was super metal, and it sucked a lot.
Yeah, like,
just for everybody. There was nobody it didn't suck for. It was a giant circle of suckage.
Yeah, even just how it got started was a giant circle of suckage. Just because of a failed assassination attempt, Germany basically said, no, we got your back unconditionally. And
yeah, so that was the way the entire political structure had been built until that point was, if you get in some shit, we got your back. And so, hey, guess what? Some shit happened. And then it kept going.
Yeah. Okay, so I got your back against guy, but this person has their back against this guy, and over, and it just blew up. Like, actually, I was reading about it. Germany was officially stated to be the cause of the war because they gave their unconditional support to
Austria-Hungary.
Yeah, to Hungary, or like the assassination attempt, and like had to like invade France
because the French were unconditionally allied to the other guys, and the only reason why the British got involved was because the Germans decided to invade France through Belgium, who was neutral, and they were like, "You wankers!"
So it's like, God.
And heck, like we here in America were neutral until our European allies kind of just were like, well, also the Germans were really nasty to us because they kept using unrestricted U-boat warfare was nuts.
Yeah.
Are you a ship that is an enemy ship or is flagged neutral but is traveling to an enemy port? We'll give you a torpedo. We'll wave our flags first and ask you very kindly to pull over so we can sink your boat. But if not, we'll put a fucking fish in you. And we in America were not happy about that.
We like shipping stuff. We like trade.
And we were Okay. We don't mind what you do over in that continent. We're not over there anymore. It's been our policy, to be hands off. But these are our boats with our dudes on them. We don't like that you're sinking those. Could you stop? And then they were like,
no.
They said, okay, we'll stop. And then I think it was the Zimmerman telegram. It was not just that they were trying to coerce Mexico into attacking us, which Mexico couldn't do at the time. They were in the middle of a constitutional crisis. They were basically in the middle of a civil war, which is why I think they declined. But the text of the telegram also said that, BT dubs, we will be opening unrestricted U-boat warfare again. And America was like, I'm sorry, what?
Oh, hell no.
You're going to do what now? Did I hear you correctly? Well, Johnny, get your gun. Let's get over there. And that was a really crappy time. But hey, we were in it. We tried to stay out of it for a while, but it was a truly world war.
Yeah. Ooh.
Which we Mages of War experiences, and actually Mages of War is on extra because of additional stability thanks to mages. The Mexico analog has technically allied with the centrality powers. So theoretically, you could have fighting in the southwest of America if you wanted. It's a really, really world war. And actually, that's one of the homelands that you can pick from is Azteca. And I try not to be horribly racist about the actual Aztecs and their blood sacrifice. And I'm like, okay, so theoretically, your ancestors knew about blood magic and stuff, and they probably did some of that, but because in general, mages don't like to do that, you're not automatically a blood mage. But you know some things about blood magic from your history. Which is also actually a thing, like, I've mentioned that blood magic is a taboo, and you've had some questions about whether or not sacrificing a small animal is okay.
Yeah.
And I think it was a joking concern, but you did technically have a dead guy on hand when you were doing a ritual. So it was like...
Yeah, I was like,
No, that's a taboo, let's not.
Yeah, it's not. I had to double check.
He's already dead, we killed him for something completely different, but no, let's not do that. And it is, it's frowned upon. It's frowned upon to use other people's blood and blood magic. You can use your own blood, that's fine. Other people, that's a little weird.
That reminds me of the fucking Canaan or Carnum and their blood magics.
Also, Dragon Age blood mages.
Yeah.
That's how,
blood magic is a pretty common thing in Magic, I know, and I'm realizing.
Well, it's a very real thing. It's like certain amounts of animal or blood sacrifices is historically a thing.
Well, I mean, there's also a thing where you can fucking cut...
Conceptually...
You can cut open something's intestines and read the future from its organ, so,
Yeah. But also just conceptually, humans have a very visceral reaction to blood. Like, that's... Everybody learns at some point in their life that when you get cut, your blood comes out red, and that's your life juice coming out of you. So I think everybody has this strong, like, emotional context for blood. So there's a lot of powerful imagery associated with blood, and it's, it's a complex thing that's part of our psychology. That's why it comes up all the fucking time. A blood oath, blood sacrifice, blood brothers, all kinds of stuff.
Fun fact, I decided to check my fucking Amazon to double check my Excel link, and it says it's arriving tomorrow by 9 p.m. That's Sunday. That's a bit early.
That is a bit early. I think that's earlier than mine. Unless my order has been moved up. Let me double check. Hold on.
Let me track some package here. Let me see where the fuck it is. It's shipped. It is...
No, mine still says arriving Monday.
Let me see here. Shipped with Amazon Logistics. View order details.
Open up my tracking facility. Currently, my package is in East Point, Georgia, so it will not be arriving by tomorrow. Now, this is your fucking Pacific Northwest Ivory Tower bullshit.
Emerald Tower.
You're where Amazon is from.
Well, they said that, but yeah, we have a major distribution. We have 2 major distribution centers and a headquarters in Seattle. It's crazy.
Yeah, we actually have they did open an Amazon warehouse somewhere in Central Florida a couple years back, which is when we started having to pay sales tax on Amazon, but also was, they started making sure that everybody was getting their guaranteed 2-day shipping, but still.
Yeah, actually, we have, like I said, Pacific Northwest, we're great for minutes. So, like, we have like a fuck ton of like game studios up here. Like, Nintendo of America's headquarters. Let's see, just a bunch of stuff. As I said, like, this is why, like culturally speaking, for like nerddom and shit, like, I honestly feel like Pacific Northwest is like kind of the best.
Yeah, it's
but we also have.
Stuff developed. Oh,
But as I said, like going back to like political stances, we also have a lot of weird political thoughts over here. Shit. And as I said, here's the thing: the more diverse the culture, the more diverse the fucking opinions.
Yeah,
I don't know, and I don't know diverse opinions, and I personally take that as a double-edged sword, because the more dissonance you get, the more likely that's one of those dissonances is going to explode into something. Like here's something. Like back like during the Trump campaign, like after President Trump just got elected, protesters took to the streets here in Portland, I believe.
Not uncommon. There were a couple of protests like that.
Yeah, but like as I said, like they actually like protested on the highway and blocked off major interstates. So like people could not get past, and people couldn't go places, people couldn't go to work, none of that stuff. And so some people just started fucking driving over the protesters. And you're just like, oh my god. And it's just like
that's a lot of people making bad decisions in life.
Yeah, so it's just like
I understand. If you're protesting, you want to be visible. You want to do stuff so that people have to think about what you're saying.
Yeah,
but if you're blocking up their daily life, you're getting in people's way directly. People don't like that.
Yeah, no. So it's like it's just one of those things of like, yeah, like everyone's welcome to her opinion, but please, like, flaunt it. What's the way I want to say this? Respectfully.
Please, opinion responsibly.
Yeah, responsibly, respectfully. And as I said, making people pissed off about your message is definitely not going to endear them about it. Oh, man. Oh, let's see here. Can I click this? I cannot click. I want to see, like, where it is. It does not actually tell me where it is. I think it's being delivered directly by Amazon.
Are you going to get a robot? Mine's coming USPS, which is probably why it's taking until Monday. Goddamn Postal Service. Talking about the government spending money once again. Like, goddamn.
We'll bring it back.
Though it's funny, because I had a really good segue for the other thing I think I want to talk about today. Way earlier, but we passed it. But I kind of want to bring it up again.
For some reason, we're good. We're good about talking.
We are. We have a good flow today, which is really impressive, because earlier today I went out in the light drizzle and the huge humidity, and I was stacking up cinder blocks off a pallet for a thing. So like I'm kind of surprised I'm still so vital after going out in the middle of the day and lifting heavy things repeatedly. Like it wasn't like a serious exertion. I'm not really a sweaty person anyway, but like I also didn't especially break a sweat doing this. I did shower off after, but that's because I was covered in cinder block dust. But still, like, the outside here sucks. Like, even when it was quote unquote cool and rainy, it was still like 70 degrees outside, and the humidity was crazy high because it was literally raining a little bit. It's been raining on and off all day. So like, even just hanging out there in the backyard for like 30 minutes throwing cinder blocks, that's like, those are some dank conditions you get in. Usually that kind of stuff is like, fuck me, I'm done for the day. But I guess because I ate food, I ate lunch, and I showered like right after. Not in that order, the other order. So that's probably why I sprang back pretty quick from that. But still, like, we have a very good flow today.
Yeah.
Which is good.
I'm actually getting to talk some. Yeah. I'm playing video games.
Speaking of playing video games I'm playing, though. By the way, the segue I wanted to make was, speaking of your teammates not killing any dudes, I have finally started playing Ace Combat 7. I bought it a little while ago, but I actually cracked it open and started playing it recently. I'm not super familiar with Ace Combat as a franchise. Like, I've tangentially heard of them a lot, and I know them really good. I just haven't been in a position to buy the games. Like, I thought about getting the PS3 exclusive one. Well, it wasn't exclusive. It was on some others, but what was it? Assault Horizon or something like that? The one that was set in the real life. But I passed on that. That was a while. But I like planes a lot. I played Tom Clancy's Hawks, for instance. And I've played some other flying type simulators, so I was super excited that this one was coming out because I'm like, hey, this is on the new console. This looks really pretty and cool. And it is. It's really pretty. And honestly, the game kind of explains everything you need to know about the setting frequently. Like, I might even wonder if people who have played every Ace Combat game, not just 1 through 6, but also all the other ones that aren't necessarily numbered in that order. Because there's a 0 in there, and there's an X, and there's lots of other games. But if they're not bored of all the exposition, but it did pretty good to get you up to date with kind of what's going on in the setting of Strange Reel, which is what they call it, which is it's Earth like flipped so many degrees on an axis. The map's actually really funny to look at, but it's neat. But the game is good. And yes, your teammates kill a decent number of things, but their kill ratios are still way lower than yours. You got to do a lot of heavy lifting. And God forbid you have to actually shoot something important down. That's you. That's all on you. But I'm not like super deep into the right now the controls are simplified just because I wanted to try it out because they say your control scheme can be two ways. It can be the way where you have to roll then pitch up or down, or you can do simplified, which is just you turn the stick and it rotates your pitch automatically. I decided to try that because I just wanted to see what it's like. It's pretty smooth. I might switch back to the other way because that's like how a lot of traditional flight simmers do it, where you have to manually pitch and you manually have to roll and pitch up to turn to bank.
That's how I usually do it.
Yeah. But the simplified's not so bad. It's a lot easier, and I think it makes doing the high G turns a lot easier because that's your how you turn around good mechanic, which is you do the high G turn and it like makes you turn very tightly, which is by the way you accelerate and decelerate at the same time and then you tilt the stick and you do a high G turn, which is better than the traditional way I do those in those games, which is just brake a lot to do an inside turn and then get them in your sights. The game's super fun though. I can kind of see a lot of the themes that I think these sorts of games are known for, about like a lot of the stuff we've been talking about, like war kind of sucks, and like talking about the human lives cost and all kinds of things. Like it's weird. Like one of the countries that one of the major belligerent is it I think it's Eurasia. There's not an R in it. I don't know. I'm new to the names, but they basically launched a surprise strike against the Ocean Federation with drones, and they blew up only military targets really fast. It's super fast and swift, and you're like, shit, they blew up a lot of our military shit with drones. Fucking drones. There's a lot of drone questions in this game.
Drones.
Because Ocean's not using a lot of drones. You're a human meat pilot. You don't have a lot of characterization, but you exist. Trigger. But then it like gets into questions of like they're taking over lots of territory, but there's also like a news report that's done that's like one of your Ocean aircraft carriers engages the enemy capital and like, at least according to your briefings later, they accidentally bombed civilian targets, but naturally the Eurasians spin it as like, look at these assholes deliberately attacking civilian targets. How troublesome. But it's an interesting thing that's like, but aren't you guys still the assholes? It makes me think questions like that. So I think that the game's writing is very good at asking those questions because you're like they try to make it seem like they do a good job of not making it seem like the Oceans are like the universal heroes. They're doing some shitty stuff too, which makes sense for war. But also at the same time, like they introduce enough in the setting question to be like, but also aren't the super expansive Eurasians being kind of assholes too? They're like seizing control of the space elevator, which is supposed to economically revitalize the continent, and like they're doing all these unmanned drone attacks. And sure, they're attacking military targets, but like they're using robots to kill people, right? Like there's an actual human life cost no matter what you do, even if you attack only military targets. So it's interesting. I'm only a few missions in. I like the tech tree. I already have the F-14D Super Tomcat. Fuck yeah. Listen, I like
so
Top Gun.
You actually upgrade your planes and stuff?
Yes, there's a tech. What they call the airplane tree, so it's a tech tree. You get points for multiplayer and single player missions, and you can buy new planes and you can buy upgrade parts to be like worry less about icing, to turn a little tighter, stuff like that, which alter the core stats. You can also buy the special weapons, which Ace Combat is known for. Like one of the ones I paid quite a bit of money to get for the Tomcat was the 8 AAM, the 8 anti-air missile, which locks onto up to 8 targets and can lock multiple missiles per target. That's super fun to just be like, oh, gee, there's a huge block of enemy aircraft right in front of me here. Let me shoot 8 missiles.
Etano Circus!
Yeah, it's got that kind of fun stuff. Like, the more normal version of that is just the 4 lock-on, which people might have seen in something like a Hawks earlier. There's some other stuff, like there's a couple different types of ground bombs. You can pick the different... there's a sufficient mix of multi-role / air-to-air / air-to-ground missions. You can pick different planes. Like, further up the tech tree, I see the A-10 Thunderbolt as like so that'll probably be like that's a ground attack plane. There's multi-roles they're more balanced, and then there's fighters, which are mostly air-to-air, but you can equip whatever.
Okay, I didn't know that. Like, I thought Ace Combat was, alright, here's a plane, fucking go.
Yeah, I don't know if earlier games are like that, but there's definitely in this one. There's a lot of like, no, you can pick the right aircraft for the job. You can unlock. I don't like it said I unlocked a skin for one aircraft, but I didn't see an opportunity to like customize for that yet, so I don't know. But I'm assuming you'll get. That might be in multiplayer, for instance. I'm assuming you'll get some customization for like look and stuff. You can customize the parts, so you can fine tune what parts you want. Like you can make different stuff lock on a little bit faster. Like I said, icing is a thing. For instance, like one of the big mechanics that's new to this edition is that clouds are a real big thing. There's a lot of cloud cover modeled, and you pass through clouds that limits visibility. That makes your radars lock on slower and track slower. So it's good defensively, but also you have to fly through a cloud. And if you fly through clouds too long, you can ice up and lose control. And
see that sounds interesting. Actually,
it's a really good it's a very solid feeling flying game. Like I was able to just pick it up, and within the first mission, it's like this R2 accelerates, L2 decelerates, to them both at the same time to do a high G turn. Press this button for missiles, press this button for guns. It has the Ace Combat thing where you have like 100 of your default basic ass multi-purpose missile, and you've got unlimited cannon rounds. So even if you burn through all your missiles, you can still hit stuff. Also, I think literally every plane has a cannon, even if they don't in real life.
Okay,
it's like
because I always thought like Ace Combat was like one of those hyper realistic like flight simulators.
No, not super hyper realistic. Like they try to model real life aircraft, but one thing that I've learned and I'm looking forward to is that Ace Combat has always had a history of like fictional super planes as like the high end planes you get at the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's definitely some breaks in reality.
Okay,
and it's set in a setting which is like real life but different, which is why they can explain stuff like why the fuck I can fly an F-14 Tomcat, because those have been decommissioned and all of them were destroyed because Iran's got some and we can't have any spare parts lying around. It's a super huge shame because the F-14 is a beautiful aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's some stuff that's confusing. Like, they explain that, like, is it the F... Or not the F, the SU-37 or 27, one of these, it's like, and it earned its nickname, which is something with an L, it's Russian, from the Russian word for swift turn. I'm like, there's no Russia in this, but, so that doesn't make any sense, but okay. And yeah, so like, I don't think it's hyper realistic, because like I said, you have shitloads of missiles, you have way more missiles than you can actually carry.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm getting, like, listening to this from you.
But like I said, it's a really smooth flight. It actually has, like I said, like it has a story arc that's going on and stuff that happens, and it has some cinematic moments. Some stuff is cutscenes, like a lot between missions. It also has these mission briefings. There's a shitload of ambient dialogue with all the people you're flying with, which is cool. Like, you see. I
love ambient dialogue.
You see these little screens of people on your squadron talking to you and stuff back and forth. You don't talk back to them, but that's just the way the series is. You play Trigger, and he's like quiet the whole time. He's just doing his job.
Mm-hmm.
They do establish that Trigger is a guy, though. But, like, other people talk, and, like, you hear stuff. You can even hear enemy dialogue sometimes, like, where did that come from? Or, it's really interesting. And so I'm going through it, and I'm gonna play some more while this video is rendering. But just, I finally got around to playing it out.
Now that you explained that, like, now I'm actually, like, I actually want to play it. I'm like, damn, it actually sounds pretty fucking cool.
It is. Maybe, and maybe I can like stream some of it or something sometime to show some people some gameplay or whatever. But yeah. So, like I said, it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it a lot. It definitely scratches the itch in flying planes I wanted.
Yeah, like, because as I said, that's like, man, do you know how much fucking of Microsoft Flight Simulator I fucking played?
I love flight sims, but they're. I feel like we had this talk on Discord a while back about it. I think I asked, are they still making Armored Core games? Because I was like. Man, I haven't played a good giant robot game in a long time. Like, other than constantly replaying Zone of the Enders. So it's like, I feel that way about aircraft, because there were 2 Hawks games, but they didn't seem to take off. Pun not intended. But, like, the sequel didn't seem like it did as well as the first, so it didn't come back around. They did not keep doing that franchise, and, like, it's been a long time since the last Ace Combat. So, like, it's there's certain games that it's hard to find sometimes.
Yeah, let's see. The last Armored Core actually that I've seen was 2013.
Yeah, so it's been a while since Armored Core.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't know if there's a good, like, that's the franchise I think of when I think of like giant robot games, other than Zone of the Enders, which obviously isn't coming back.
So there's also like Mech Warrior. And
yeah, I guess I don't like those as much. And obviously there's Titanfall, but those are probably I don't know if they're going to make more Titanfall games. Like a lot of people say Apex will probably add a Titan mode at some point, but I'm like I don't. That's not quite the same. And honestly, Titanfall doesn't necessarily scratch my giant robot itch because Titans aren't super customizable. Like you got a little bit of wiggle room, but it's mostly like pick your archetype, pick which things it does, give it a sweet skin and some nose art because that's cool.
No, like that's what I loved about Armored Core is it was fucking complicated.
No, I like for giant robots, I like a little bit of that. I like a little like this is one of the things I appreciate about Ace Combat is like, oh, I can pick which type of special missile I want to bring to the mission. I can pick the right type of plane, and I have this system called parts, which is all my little add-ons, so I can be like, okay, yeah, let's slap the accelerator in there and let's improve my missiles a little bit. And let's put the de-icing thing in there because God, I don't want to ice up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, I like a little bit of that, and I can even go deeper, like hard points and stuff. So yeah, it's there are certain types of games that aren't always in production, and you can kind of take those franchises and those genres for granted. And I feel like military flying games is one of those that I haven't scratched in a long time. And no, Ace Combat 7 does that.
Yeah, I want to play it now. Oh man, doing the grenade modulation is actually a little hard now because I can't fucking take cover.
Yeah, you gotta shoot those guys.
I gotta shoot everybody.
Don't get shot. But alright, I just wanted to mention that I did that, and I actually went out of my way to be like, no, I'm gonna play a little bit before the next day and we do What's Up, because I want to be able to talk about it. And also because, like we've been talking about, Extella Link is coming out soon, and I'm going to have to put time in that for recording purposes for the channel, so I wanted to be able to at least get a little bit of Ace Combat 7 in before I probably have to take a bit of a break from it for a lot of time. And we'll see, how well we do. I think, let me double check the studio. YouTube algorithm and analytics reporting is still being weird to me. It's not necessarily up to date. Like on the front page, it says that right now we have 458 views on the episode of Let's Talk FGO that just came out. But if I tab over to videos, that'll say probably a different number. Let's see. Let's let that load. That says 337, so obviously we're a little bit behind. But Medusa's Side Story, the Extella episode I just posted, has about 56 views, so it's doing pretty good for an Extella video. So I think we have a decent amount of interest. So hopefully, because, Link will be brand new when it's coming out, in the States anyway, hopefully we'll get some traction on that and we can actually get some views, because I'll do the whole game anyway, just because there's no reason not to. But, like, that actually getting views and feedback on it is kind of important for us, because it lets us know we're doing good stuff and encourages us to do more. Like, now that I know people are watching them, I probably will, sometime timely, go through and do some of the other side stories in Extella, the first one. And if Link has side stories, I can definitely do those, too.
If Link doesn't have side stories, I'm gonna be shook.
Well, I think Link might have actually improved the, servant selection in story modes, so you might actually use different units more often. But if it doesn't, it definitely needs, side stories to, actually play as other characters.
I'm ready to become Hakuno and get on with my waifu.
So yeah, like I said, look forward to those. Probably not right away Monday, just because, I need to, upload other stuff sometimes, but...
Do you want to, take a break tomorrow from, tabletop so you have time to, upload shit?
I probably should. I've got 2 recordings that aren't turned into videos yet, which means I need hours on my computer. If you guys don't mind maybe delaying a little bit, I definitely need to, take some time where I'm not producing videos and just, upload and render some shit.
Actually, here's an idea. How about for, the tabletop stuff? Maybe I'll get set up that I can record it on end, so we can, have multiple uploads going. When I was uploading my Let's Plays and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
For things that you don't need the, your sound cue for, or whatever, we should probably see about, maybe splitting up that load a little bit, because that's the thing I'm realizing, is, because you upload everything on your end.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of time crunch for me to physically render stuff. Okay, yeah, so, we can try seeing to get that set up and try some experimental recordings. I still probably, without getting on the Discord, I need to take some days to, a day to just smash out the renders I already have recorded.
Yeah. But, yeah, we can try that going forward.
But alright, let's see. How long have we been recording? 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's 9:30.
Yeah. As I said, 3 hours is the limit.
Yeah. because if we record for more than 3 hours, we possibly can't upload it to Patreon, at least standalone. So that gets weird. Anyway, yeah. Is there any thoughts you have? Like, I feel like you were about to start on something there.
Hang on, my phone's yelling at me. No, it's fine. Okay, so wait, nope, I lost it. I'm doing the grenade mission right now, and oh shit, I burnt the barrel and I died. I think this might be the mission I die the most on.
Possibly. It feels like since you can't take cover and you can only take a couple shots, it's not very forgiving.
Yeah. But, going back to, Armored Core a little bit, I just wanted to say, Armored Core is my mech game when I think of. It's super Japanese, because, as I say, you're literally in bipedal robots with arm blades and shooting, rockets and missiles and stuff, but it was also, super complex. You had, numbers for, everything. A single piece of equipment would have, 10 to 12 values to it, and just, its weight, how much power it used, stuff oh my god. And it was always fun just to get in there and mess with fiddly bits. I sucked at the game, I'll tell you that right now, because I couldn't get good configurations or shit. But it was still fun to tinker around with. And yeah, I haven't scratched that mech itch in a good while now that I think about it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. There's like I said, this is what I was interested in Ace Combat 7, even though it's I've never played any of these games, but they sure look super cool, and I get to fly planes good, and I'm like, man, I haven't done that in a while. And I really like that. But yeah, other than that, I think we're winding out of steam.
Yeah, I'm good to stop.
Alright.
Oh god, it's from... Oh, I know why they haven't fucking been putting out Armored Core. Armored Core is From Software.
Yeah, they've, when's the Dark Souls of Giant Robot game coming? Because let's see, I think they just released... Sekiro just came out, right? Or it's coming out soon? Because I've seen people doing
March 22nd.
Okay,
March
so
22nd.
that's why people have been doing previews, so soon.
Yep.
Who knows what they'll announce next? And maybe I should look into that, because I'm not averse to the Dark Souls formula. I own Bloodborne. I kind of like it. I just haven't ever had the time in my life to dedicate to getting good and actually getting through that game.
Yeah, since their last Armored Core game, which was Verdict Day, which came out in 2013. After that was Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 2, Scars of the First Sin, Bloodborne, Monster Hunter Diary, which is a spin-off game, Dark Souls 3, a VR game, and Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. So, they have been hard on the Soul formula.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Can you make a Soulsborne game about giant robots? I bet you can.
Dude, that'd be amazing.
Dear From Software, if you don't mind.
Actually, no, here's something. In April 2016, From Software revealed that they are working on a new intellectual property, as well as their intent to return to the Armored Core series.
When was this?
This was in 2016. So actually, E3 this year, we might...
Yeah, that's probably 3 years. That's probably a good dev cycle. They've got some early stuff to show.
Yeah,
that's probably far enough along you know what you're doing to announce.
Yeah. Yeah, so who knows? We might get one this summer.
This should be a fun E3. We'll hopefully learn more about Cyberpunk. We'll see some other stuff.
Yep.
We'll hopefully see some system agnostic stuff. Oh, that does remind me. There was one other thing I was thinking about talking about. Not that I think there's much to talk about, but I believe it's been confirmed that Master Chief Collection is coming to PC. For Halo, and it's going to be Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, Reach, and Halo 4. All of the titles which are not on PC yet, and I am overjoyed because I really like Halo, but I never really liked Xbox as such, so I haven't played a lot of those games, but I really like them.
As I just want to play it for, if I get it, I'm playing it for the fucking story, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I might try multiplayer just to see what Halo multiplayer is like, because I never really played it before. I didn't have an opportunity, but no, I'm there for the campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
No, I've had the PC versions of Halo 1 and Halo 2 before. They were pretty fun. So I've never played 3 per se. Not extensively. I've played a little bit like friends and relatives, but not all the way through. Same with 4. Never had any play experience with ODST or Reach, even though on a aesthetics and setting level, I think those are the games I like the sound of the most.
Honestly, now that I think about it, I've played a lot of Halo 1 and 2, but I was always playing with friends, and guess what? They don't want to play the fucking story. No, they want to get in the fucking blood gulch and shoot each other. I'm like,
yeah. Which is the same, though, because you can play Halo 1 and 2 with other people. I think you can go up to, like, I don't know if I wonder if it'll be that way on PC, if you can go up to the full 4-man co-op.
Oh, that'd be amazing. I'd love to do that.
But I think that Reach and 3 had that, like, yeah, you can have that many dudes. Like, you can get, like, 4 dudes all helping each other out. That'd be fun. Now that we know 4 people, but...
We don't need 4 people.
Oh, yeah, well, with 2 people, yeah, we could do that. We could record Let's Plays. We'll see. I don't know if my machine will handle all that, because it's specifically Halo 1 and 2 Anniversary, so it's got the updated graphics and stuff, so I'm like, I don't know if my machine, it's a few years old, and it wasn't, top of the line when it came out, but hopefully, budgeting and stuff. Your Patreon dollars at work. Like I said, much like with that, ups I ordered. Because sometimes we need technology. Alright, that was just a quick thing. Now we're at, like, 250, so let's wrap up. I don't think we have any pressing things, and so next week we'll talk about stuff. Don't know what. I guess I'll just do the outro stuff. Hey, if you like this video, give it a like. If you have any comments about any of the many subjects we talked about, leave those in the comment section down below, or hit us up on our Discord. That link is in the description. And as always, if you're new here and have not already, please subscribe to our channel so you can always keep up with our videos. Don't forget to think about hitting that bell for notifications so you always know when we post a new video. Like, God forbid, I don't know how long this is going to take to render. So, like I said, hey, if YouTube's being weird and you're not seeing our videos as much as you want to, consider that bell for notifications. It's not like I don't think we get necessarily, like, extra analytic juice out of it. It's purely for your convenience, guys. And, of course, like it says at the front of the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. You can get access to this episode in audio format for as little as $1 a month. Just download it and listen to it on the go. And, yeah, just, really helps us out. Like I said, that lets us buy hardware we need, like a battery backup system, so I don't need to worry about my fucking computer dying all the time. My internet will still go out, because that's on a completely different circuit setup, but I can at least save my work and stuff. I don't need to worry about losing anything. Because the model I got should have, 8 to 10 minutes of life. It's ideal for desktops. That's all I need. All I need is for A, if the power only flickers out, it not to shut all my shit down. And B, if the power goes out, I have enough time to save some shit. And yeah, that's our episode. That's what's up. We talk about stuff. Lucky, did I hear you futzing with a can in the background?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Well, the show's about to end, so if you're going to make any can noises, now's the time.
But, yeah, no. Again, I'm going to let people know that I'm, for at the end of this month, and probably about 2 weeks' time, probably on the 31st of March, we're going to be doing the first Live with Lucky. As soon as I can get back into our Patreon account.
Did you need to send the stuff again, or do you think you got it somewhere?
Well, I still have it. It's just the fact that it's not letting me log in. I'm trying to figure out why. I don't want to be trying to change passwords and shit. So I've been trying every once in a while. But no, I haven't forgotten about that. As soon as I get it working, there's going to be a post where people can comment on things they want to talk about.
If I got any security alerts from Patreon, which is hey, did you set this up?
Yeah.
Did you log? No. Nope.
I'll figure it out.
I'm pretty sure I authorized you last time because you had to post the live.
I was able to get in. I was able to get in last time. That's how I made the posting. But like I said, something might just be weird. I'm trying to figure it out. But no, it hasn't.
Yeah, we're also doing some I'm also doing some back end stuff with making sure, because PayPal's being weird about stuff. So I'm trying to make sure that we that all the payment stuff is secured. So maybe there's more authorization at once. We'll see about that. Hopefully that all works out.
Well, as I said, I want to make the post tomorrow, so there'll be exactly a 2-week lead up. Because that's why I didn't want to do it at the beginning of the month, because I didn't want it to get lost necessarily. Because I say you post something just about every fucking day. So
when I can,
I
mean, there's tags and stuff. If you use the BTS tag, that's featured on the side. Hey, if you're ever looking for polls or other stuff like that, like our Q&A thread on our Patreon, you can just tap that BTS tag. Same with audio releases. There's an audio release tag that links to literally every audio release I've ever done.
Yeah, that's probably a lot of audio releases. But anyway, so Patreons, look forward to that. And if you want to get on this, as said, please, for as little as $1 a month.
Yeah. And also, we have 2 questions on our monthly Patreon Q&A. We're up to 2. I expect that will still be a short recording, but hey, if you want to ask us anything, you can now. We reserve the right not to answer it, but it's out there. Anyway, yeah, I guess that's the episode. Lucky did his little bit at the end. I did my little bit. We're gonna go ahead and, roll over the credits. There'll be an end card where you can watch other videos we do, check out other What's Ups, stuff like that. It's real fun. They're really cool. I put a lot of work into those. That's not an automatic thing. I do that. That's all me. Appreciate me.
I want to appreciate me some more, Frame.